Chapter 531. Lu Chaoga didn't say much. After serving tea to everyone, she sat quietly beside Fang Yan. Fang Yan held a cup of Longjing tea before the rain. He didn't taste it carefully, but he carefully stroked the glass teacup with his palm. He looked at Du Qing, who was sitting opposite him, and said, "I heard that the roads in Huaqing aren't easy to drive on right now, and there's a lot of traffic jams?" "Yes." Du Qing nodded in agreement and said, "Huaqing is an international metropolis. There are more and more people and more cars. When it's rush hour, cars move slower than turtles. In the past we used to call cars a tortoise cover, but at that time cars moved very fast. Look at it now, isn't it a tortoise cover?" Buying cars is for the convenience of people's lives, but as more people buy cars, life becomes more and more inconvenient. Take what happened today as an example. There's a very important person in Huaqing who's going to attend a very important meeting. Originally, the assistant had already planned the time. They would leave at 9:30 a.m. to attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony at 10:30 a.m. Isn't an hour more than enough to travel? In the end, it wasn't a coincidence that a few cars rear-ended one another on the road, and a few drivers pushed the blame to each other and even got into a fight. As a result, that important person's ribbon-cutting ceremony at 10:30 a.m. was dragged to 11:30 a.m. Oh, he didn't make it for the 11:30 a.m. event. Fang Yan squinted his eyes and smiled. He said, "We need to give more suggestions to the Huaqing government and ask them to do a good job in clearing the roads during rush hour." Isn't that so? Many important people called the mayor of Huaqing, hoping that they could quickly solve this problem. It's not easy being the mayor. It's such a big city with tens of millions of people. How can it be easy to manage? Nothing is easy. Fang Yan said with a smile. There's no helping it, this is within the mayor's responsibility. Who else can they look for if not him? That makes sense. Du Qing said with a smile. He looked sincerely at Fang Yan and asked, "Young master, how do you think that important person will react after his important matter is ruined?" Fang Yan looked at Du Qing and said, "Big shots care a lot about their face. They can lose anything but face. Today they have lost face, so they will definitely find a way to get it back." "In what ways do you think they will regain their face?" Du Qing asked. "Get up from where you fell." Fang Yan replied, "The trouble caused by the workers in the electronics factory is a trap that someone dug for them. It's not easy to solve this problem. Or they would throw money at the troublemakers. Not only did they want to convince the retired workers, but they also wanted to make the workers who hadn't stood up for the time being satisfied. They had just settled down, but the other side felt that the treatment wasn't good and jumped out to cause trouble again. Turning all his hard work into a joke is not his style. Are they really willing to pay such a huge price?" Leah asked in disbelief. She and her uncle Du Qing came to look for Fang Yan to solve this problem. They had already discussed the answer to this question in the office. Either Jiang Junling and the rest chose to deal with this matter coldly and satisfy some of the troublemakers' interests. They would first shut their mouths, then use the other part of the interest to keep them in suspense so that they wouldn't stand on the opposite side and attack Long Tu. However, this way of dealing with it was too conservative and petty. Especially at this critical moment when the whole city's media was paying attention to this matter, it was even less convincing for them to do so. Then there was another possibility, which was to throw money at them. They would follow the method that Fang Yan suggested, which was to smash the troublemakers and those who might be dissatisfied. However, she and her uncle had done a rough calculation. With the current size of the Long Tu group, this would be an astronomical figure. In order to win people's hearts, would Jiang Junling and Jiang Zhulu do such a crazy thing? If they really did such a thing, could they still be considered a qualified business operator? If it was in the past, Leah would directly refute Fang Yan's speculation. However, after seeing Fang Yan's methods and style of doing things a few times, she naturally had some fear of him and a belief that she had always rejected. Du Qing also looked at Fang Yan with a solemn expression and said, "They took out such a huge amount of capital just to buy people's hearts? Just so that they have a chance to stab us in the back? If there's a chance to stab us in the back, no matter how much capital they have, they are willing to invest it." Fang Yan said with a smile. "Brother Du, you have to be mentally prepared for a tough battle." Du Qing was shocked and said, "Young master, don't be impulsive. They are throwing money irrationally, but we can't throw money irrationally. If we fall into a vicious competition, we will be the ones who suffer in the end. Chaoyan technology has been developing rapidly these years. But compared to the giants like the Jiang family, our foundation is still a little shallow. Our green cloud group is not even worth mentioning. Injuring 8 enemies and losing 1,000 of our own. It's not worth it. What was Du Qing afraid of? He was afraid that Fang Yan and Jiang Junling would get angry. The same youthful vigor, the same young heroes. If you throw 100 million, I will throw 200 million on my side. If you throw 1 billion, I will throw 1.5 billion on my side. It has to be a little more than you. In that case, where would Du Qing go? If he didn't follow, he would lose his friendship. If he followed, the Green Cloud group, which had just been injured, would probably be dragged down in this tough battle. Du Qing could guess what Jiang Junling might do next, but he couldn't guess what Fang Yan would do to deal with it. Brother Du, don't worry. Fang Yan said with a smile, I'm not that irrational. Besides, throwing money to fight with others is not in line with our style. How can a cultured person compete with others for wealth? Fang Yan turned to look at Lu Chaoga and asked with a smile, Are you ready? Ready. Lu Chaoga nodded lightly and said, There are a total of 3 steps. The first step has been executed. We just need to publicize it. Then let's begin. Fang Yan said with a smile. Du Qing looked at Fang Yan and Lu Chaoga in surprise and said, You two already have a plan? Fang Yan nodded and said with a smile, They like to throw money, so we'll let them throw more. It can be considered as contributing to society. Du Qing was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Ah, interesting. It's really interesting. On the television, Lu Chaoga, who had not appeared in front of the public for a long time, made a high-profile appearance. She led Chaoyan Technology and the Huaqing Chamber of Commerce to make a joint statement that they would raise the salaries of their employees according to the highest salary ratio in the country. In an interview with the media, Lu Chaoga said, The incident of the retired employees kneeling at Longtu Group made me feel deeply guilty. When my father was alive, he often said that employees are the soul and the core value of a company. I was still young at that time, but I remembered this sentence deeply in my heart. Later, my father died and I had no choice but to leave Longtu. But Longtu was my father's painstaking effort, the place where his scientific research and wisdom started. Even though I'm no longer a Longtu person, I've always been paying attention to Longtu, hoping that Longtu can develop better and better. Longtu is indeed developing better and better, and its scale is also getting bigger and bigger. However, what I don't understand is that today, when the energy industry is booming and the company's annual profits are in the hundreds of millions, why would there still be a situation where retired employees don't have enough to eat and can't go to the hospital? These old people have worked hard for Longtu their whole lives. Is this their final outcome? In order to get the benefits they deserve, they had no choice but to kneel in front of everyone. This kind of incident is really chilling. As a child of Longtu, as a former citizen of Longtu, I can empathize with the suffering of the people of Longtu. I hereby announce that the salaries of all employees of Chaoyan Technology will be increased by 20%. In addition, we will establish a comprehensive medical and social security system for Chaoyan Technology, so that they won't have any worries in the future. If there are people of Longtu who are willing to work at Chaoyan Technology, we will warmly welcome them. Chaoyan Technology will never turn away talents, and Chaoyan Technology will always provide the best working environment and generous rewards. Smack. The beautiful teacup came into contact with the hard wall, once again turning into pieces of broken shell. The golden tea slid down the marble wall, drawing a long shadow. Jiang Junling stared coldly at the TV screen, and Li Yun hurriedly walked over to turn off the TV. Not only Jiang Junling but everyone else also wanted to smash their cups. However, there was only one person present who had the right to smash a cup. After he smashed it, it wouldn't be appropriate for the others to do the same. Jiang Junling looked at Li Yun and asked, What's the range of our salary increase? 20%, Li Yun said. This kind of feeling was really suffocating. A salary increase of 20% was a figure that had been carefully calculated by the accountant. As long as they reached this number, they would be the company with the highest average salary in Huaqing. At that time, if they called for everyone to raise their salaries together, not only would they gain fame and fortune, but they would also push Fang Yan and Du Qing's Qingyun group to the opposite side of all the companies in Huaqing. Now that Fang Yan and the others had rushed to raise their salaries to 20%, it was equivalent to stabbing them in the heart. Why not 10%? Why not 15%? Why not 18%? Why did it have to be 20%? The style of that knife really made people feel sour and numb. The worst thing was, not only did they not get the first opportunity, but they also couldn't gain any reputation. Instead, they could only follow behind Xiaoyan technology. Even if they were to raise their salaries to 20% or higher, it was still under the call of Xiaoyan technology. During the interview, Lu Chaoga also said that she hoped that she could set an example and let those companies with conscience realize their mistakes and wake up. If they followed suit and raised their salaries, did that mean that they would all feel guilty and wake up because of her actions? Chapter 532. Jiang Zhulu smiled sinisterly and said, "No wonder young master reminded us to settle the matter quickly. It seems like they were well prepared. This is a chain of attacks." Li Yun was in a bad mood as well. She had just finished negotiating with the workers' representatives. They were very satisfied with the solution and promised that they would not cause trouble for the company anymore. They had finally come up with a big move and were just waiting to kill the enemy in one move. What they didn't expect was that their opponents had already taken the initiative to use their ultimate move. The special effects were even cooler than theirs, and the moves were even more gorgeous than theirs. Tell me, who could they go to reason with? Yes. This is a chain of attacks. General Ling took the towel that Xianxia brought over and wiped the water stains on his hands. The murderous look on his face gradually disappeared, and he regained his radiant smile. He said softly, "When they were digging that pit, they had already predicted our reaction. When we counterattack, it is equivalent to jumping into the pit and they start to dig the soil with shovels, burying us tightly." The workers had chosen to create trouble at such a critical moment. When Jiang Junling and the rest were busy filling the pit, Fang Yan and Lu Chaoga kicked them into the pit and started to fill it with soil. "These people are trying to kill us. Military orders, they are once again ahead of us. What do we do now?" Lan Ling asked angrily. In the past, they had always been the ones to bully others. They had never thought that there would be a day when someone would dare to bully them. This feeling of being led by the nose was really unbearable. "We have lost," Jiang Junling said honestly. "This time, no matter what we do, we have already lost. If we ignore it, we will not be able to answer to the workers. If we followed suit, the outside world would interpret it as us being inspired by Lu Zhaoga taking the lead in raising wages and feeling guilty towards the workers. That's why we did this. We will not be able to gain anything. Lu Chaoga has stolen our reputation and prestige, and no one will be grateful to us." Jiang Zhulu explained. "The woman you like is really powerful." Jiang Xianxia sneered. Ever since her father's death, she started to view Jiang Zhulu with hostility. She wouldn't let go of any opportunity that presented itself. Li Yun swept a sharp glance at her daughter and stepped out to smooth things over. "Xianxia, don't misunderstand the relationship between Zhu Lu and Lu Chaoga. They are only siblings, it's not what you think it is." Jiang Xianxia understood her mother's thoughts and lowered her head, not saying a word. Jiang Zhulu looked at Xianxia and smiled sympathetically. "Mom, don't blame Xianxia. Which woman wouldn't be jealous? Xianxia was jealous because she cared about me. If she didn't care about me, why would she mention me with another woman? At that time I really should have been sad." Jiang Junling took a glance at Jiang Xianxia and said with a smile, "This younger sister of mine is a little petty. However, Zhulu, I have to warn you that you cannot let Xianxia down. If you dare to bully her, I will not let you off." Jiang Xianxia's heart was filled with sorrow. She was very clear that Jiang Junling was instructing Jiang Zhulu on the surface, but in reality he was threatening her. When he asked Jiang Zhulu to treat her better, he was implying that he didn't want the two of them to have a conflict. Indeed, Jiang Zhulu understood and replied with a serious face, "Don't worry, eldest young master. I can't wait to dote on her and love her. How would I bear to bully her?" The group of people laughed out loud. Only Jiang Xianxia's heart was wet and she wanted to find a quiet place to cry her heart out. Li Yun stopped laughing and looked at Jiang Junling. "We are one step behind on the military order, but we still have to respond. At the very least, we have to fulfill the conditions that we promised the workers' representatives. Otherwise, they will think that they have been cheated and will do something even more drastic. By then, we won't be able to turn the situation around. Of course, we have to fulfill the promise." Jiang Junling pondered and said, "It's just a matter of how far we have to go." Li Yun's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Jiang Junling wasn't convinced and wanted to increase the stakes? If that was the case, they would have to spend an astronomical sum of money. This time, Li Yun's heart really ached a little. Of course, Li Yun wouldn't say anything against it. She knew Zhang Junling too well. This man was proud and arrogant. On the surface he was respectful to everyone, but deep down he was extremely selfish. No one could change his mind once he decided on something. What's your opinion on the military order? Li Yun looked at Zhang Junling and asked. Zhang Junling's gaze met Zhang Zhuliu's for a short while, then it stopped on Lan Ling's face. He smiled and said, Uncle Lan, this concerns a few families. I can't make the decision alone. Everyone has to make a decision together. Lan Ling also knew Zhang Junling's character and knew that he would be the one to make the decision. However, he really liked the respectful attitude that Zhang Junling displayed. He waved his hand and said, Military order, we are all on the same side. You don't have to be so courteous with us. It's still up to you to make the decision. Don't worry, as long as I can do it, I will give my full support. If I can't do it, I will go back and ask my grandfather for support. Zhang Junling nodded and said, Since everyone trusts me, then I won't be courteous with everyone. I'll tell you my opinion first, and if you think it's inappropriate, you can bring it up. This isn't just empty words, everyone has to fork out the money together. This is a big matter. I can't make the decision alone, and I can't make the decision. Zhang Zhulu chuckled as he looked at Zhang Junling and said, Whatever eldest young master says, we'll do it. Do you think eldest young master will let us suffer losses? That's right. The Zhang family has a lot of assets. At most, they'll give us some compensation from other places. Lan Ling also agreed. Zhang Junling had the Zhang family behind him. Even if Zhang Junling squandered all of his assets in Huaqing, it would only be a superficial wound. He wouldn't even be able to touch his bones. The Zhang family would still be the prestigious Zhang family. Moreover, Zhang Zhulu was the one who voluntarily gave away the shares of Longtu Group in order to curry favor with the Zhang family. Even if Longtu Group collapsed, the person who lost the most was Zhang Zhulu. What did that have to do with Zhang Junling? We can't give too little compensation. We've already discussed the standard with the workers' representatives. If we break the contract now, the workers won't be satisfied, and if this matter gets out, we'll seem petty. Zhang Junling patiently explained, We can't use the same standard as Chao Yan either. Although they're ahead of us, we can't use the same standard as them. If we do that, people will think that we're imitating Chao Yan, and Chao Yan will bribe the media to lead us in that direction. We have to set a higher standard than them, but not by too much. Otherwise, we'll fall into Fang Yan's trap and become the main culprit of this incident. Do you think there's a problem with a 25% increase in benefits? No problem. Zhang Zhulu was the first to agree. Li Yun did some mental calculations and felt his heart ache. However, he still smiled and said, There's no problem on my side either. Lan Ling hesitated for a moment and said, This isn't a small amount. I can't make the decision alone. I'll go back and discuss it with the old master. If he agrees, there won't be a problem. I'll explain the cause and effect of this matter and the various stakes to him. I think he'll agree. Although Zhang Junling despised Lan Ling's indecisiveness, he still said gratefully, Thank you, Uncle Lan. Thank you for the trouble. Lan Ling sighed and didn't speak anymore. Zhang Junling looked at Li Yun and said, Let's do it this way. Li Yun nodded and said, I'll handle this personally. Zhang Zhulu looked at Zhang Junling and said, Master, the matter has been settled temporarily. However, what if they create any more trouble? If I were Fang Yan, Zhang Junling took the teacup that Xianxia passed to him and said, I can still make 2 more moves. Seeing that everyone was looking at him in shock, Zhang Junling squinted his eyes and smiled. He said, Furthermore, based on my understanding of my old friend, he will definitely be able to think of these 2 moves and execute them. Li Yun panicked. She looked at Zhang Junling and said, Military orders, this isn't a joke. Since you know what Fang Yan is going to do next, shouldn't we take some precautions? We can't just passively take a beating and do nothing, right? Zhang Junling shook his head and said, We don't have to do anything and we can't do anything. If we are slow in the first move, we will be slow in every subsequent move. We have lost this round. Let's change to another battlefield and continue playing the game. Everyone looked at Zhang Junling thoughtfully. This proud man had once again admitted that he had lost. He had lost to the man who had beaten him repeatedly, Fang Yan. Furthermore, Even though Jiang Junling had already thought of what Fang Yan was going to do next, he couldn't think of any way to deal with it. In that case, what exactly was Fang Yan going to do? There are some things that can't be done with human strength. Jiang Junling looked at everyone and explained, the more we get entangled in this, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. Why don't we cut the Gordian knot and end this battle quickly in exchange for a battlefield that is beneficial to us? You are right, young master. Jiang Zhulu agreed and said, doing something despite knowing that it is impossible to do is the true stupidity. This feeling, Jiang Junling smiled bitterly and said, is really uncomfortable. After the meeting ended, he bade farewell to Xianxia and the General Ling and walked out with his bag in hand. Jiang Zhulu walked over quickly and shouted, Xianxia, let's talk. Xianxia turned around and looked at Jiang Zhulu expressionlessly. Jiang Zhulu, what do we have to talk about? You are my wife and I am your husband in name and in law. We have many things to talk about, Jiang Zhulu chuckled and said. Jiang Zhulu grabbed onto Xianxia's arm as she turned around to leave. Jiang Zhulu gave Xianxia a tight slap when she turned around to scold her. Pick. A resounding slap. Chapter 533. Jiang Xianxia's skin was so delicate that it would turn red even if it was exposed to the sun, let alone such a strong slap. A clear and deep purplish-red palm print appeared on the right side of Jiang Xianxia's face. There was an area that was congested with blood, and it looked like the blood vessels there were about to burst. Jiang Xianxia was stunned. Jiang Zhulu actually dared to slap her? This man had been trying to please her from the beginning to satisfy her pride and selfishness. He had placed his status very low and treated her like a servant. He actually dared to slap her? Was she stupid or was that man crazy? Jiang Xianxia did not cry or scream. She did not even have the time to make a sound other than the crisp sound that came from her face. She could not accept this reality. Jiang Xianxia felt extremely unfamiliar and shocked when she saw the sinister smile on the man's face. The understanding that she had once thought was just a lie. Jiang Zhulu grabbed Xianxia's arm and casually pushed open the door to an office when he heard someone talking behind him. This was the office of Jiang Zhuoyou's secretary Wang Min. When she saw the boss dragging the lady boss in, and the lady boss's face with a ghastly palm print on it, Wang Min jumped up in a panic. She didn't say a word and quickly left. At this point, anything she said or did would be wrong. The smartest thing to do was to pretend that she did not see anything. Jiang Zhulu flung Xianxia's body and threw her onto the sofa in the guest room. Before Jiang Xianxia could get up, Jiang Zhulu had already pressed down on her. His lower body pressed against Jiang Xianxia's legs and abdomen, and his upper body was raised up high. Looking down at Jiang Xianxia's ferocious gaze, he asked with a smile, "Do you hate me?" Jiang Xianxia bit her lip tightly and said word by word, "You dare to hit me? So what if I hit you?" Jiang Zhulu asked. "Don't tell me that you still haven't realized it? Haven't you reflected on your current status? Should you put yourself in the right place? That's right, my status is very awkward and my situation is very difficult. I am only a loyal dog of the Jiang family. I have to do whatever they tell me to do. I have to bite whoever they tell me to bite. However, you should understand that as long as a loyal dog like me has any value to the Jiang family, they won't just kick me away. They will feed me dog food. You are my dog food." Jiang Zhulu. Jiang Xianxia gritted her teeth and shouted. "What? Blame me for speaking too harshly? But wasn't that the truth? If I scold you, they will pretend not to hear me. If I hit you, all they can do is reproach me. What can they do to me? Is this not the fate of yours and mine? Xianxia, you are a smart woman. You should be very clear that the bigger the commotion, the worse it will be for you. Do not be hostile to me, do not hate me, obey me, please me, serve me. That is what a wife ought to do. You just got married and don't have any experience of being someone else's wife. I'm not in a hurry. I can wait and give you more time to study. But don't disobey me and don't betray me. Don't mock your husband in front of others. I know you hate me. Why do you hate me? Do you suspect that I have something to do with your father's death? Do you suspect that I killed your father?" Jiang Xianxia's lips twitched, but she did not answer Jiang Zhuoyou's question. She did suspect that her father's death had something to do with Jiang Zhulu. She did suspect that Jiang Zhulu was the one who killed her father. No, it wasn't just a suspicion, it was a certainty. She was certain that Jiang Zhulu was the culprit who killed her father. Fang Yan had already agreed to exchange hostages. How could he kill her father? Let him live and let him become the shame of the Jiang family and the laughingstock of the entire circle. This was what a sinister and cunning man should do. How could he kill his own father? Jiang Zhulu was the one who brought people to fetch her father. Of course his own father was included. His father sank into the sea and did not return. Her father did return, but he was a lifeless corpse. With Jiang Xianxian's intelligence, it was not difficult to guess what kind of story was hidden in this. Jiang Xianxian knew that they had their reasons for doing this. She knew that they did not want her father to become a scar on the Jiang family. However, as a woman and as the daughter of that man, how could she pretend that nothing had happened and share the same bed with him? Sleep on the same bed with the murderer who killed her father? This was too harsh and difficult for her. Isn't that the case? Jiang Xianxian said sarcastically. Jiang Zhulu did not deny it. Instead he looked straight into Jiang Xianxian's eyes and said with sincerity, "Yes, this is the case. I killed your father. I used a special needle." His heart failed and he didn't even have a chance to speak. Isn't this the answer you wanted? Now that you know, I have confessed to you. Jiang Xianxian, what can you do? Call the police to arrest me? Or do you want to make a scene with me? Or look for Jiang Junling to help you take revenge? Do you think he will help you? Do you think he will let you continue to pursue this matter? Jiang Xianxian, I didn't want your father to die. Jiang Junling was the one who killed your father. So, you can only blame your father for being useless and unlucky. You can't blame anyone else. You said that my brother asked you to kill my father? This is impossible. My brother would never do such a thing. Jiang Zhulu looked at Jiang Xianxian's overly calm eyes and his emotions gradually became rational. He climbed up from Jiang Xianxian's body and said, "You have a recording?" Jiang Xianxian got up from the sofa and adjusted her clothes. She looked at Jiang Zhulu with disdain and said, "Why? Are you afraid?" Jiang Zhulu stared at Jiang Xianxian coldly and said, "Jiang Xianxian, what exactly do you want to do? What do you think?" Jiang Xianxian asked. "I know that you don't care about me. But Jiang Xianxian, are you going to betray the Jiang family?" "Betray?" Jiang Xianxian stood up from the sofa and looked at Jiang Zhulu. "I am a member of the Jiang family. Why would I betray my own family? But Jiang Zhulu, who do you think you are?" Jiang Xianxian walked in front of Jiang Zhulu and gave him a tight slap on his face. Then she walked away leisurely in her high heels. Blood flowed from the corner of Jiang Zhuliu's mouth. A cruel and ruthless smile appeared on his face. Fang Yan did not disappoint Jiang Junling. Just as Jiang Junling had predicted, they still had a few more moves to make. Chaoyan is a human-oriented research company. While we are committed to solving the energy crisis for mankind, we also pay attention to the health of our employees. The company provides 2 health experiences to their employees every year. We also apply for associated experience cards for their immediate family members. As long as they have worked in Chaoyan technology for more than 2 years, they have the opportunity to apply for an associated experience card for their parents, wife, or children. They can enjoy the same experience services as the company's employees. Fu Mingli, the deputy director of Chaoyan Technology, said in an interview with the media, "We have launched a special reward program for outstanding talents in Chaoyan. If the children of foreign employees want to bring their children to Huaqing to study, we will provide the most convenient channel. We have already cooperated with the most outstanding private high school in Huaqing, Rosefinch Secondary. Any student who passes the assessment will be given priority admission." Lu Chaoga, the director of Chaoyan Technology, said while participating in a charity event. Chaoyan Technology, which had been developing rapidly in the past few years, suddenly became extremely high-profile. Even the queen of Chaoyan, Lu Chaoga, who was very reluctant to show her face in front of the media, frequently appeared in front of the cameras. They increased the welfare of their workers time and time again. They improved their social security and reward system so that their employees as well as their parents and children could benefit from it. After this series of events, Chaoyan Technology became a conscientious enterprise in Huaqing, a benchmark enterprise and also the most anticipated company by job seekers. There was also a special topic by the media regarding the 2 completely different attitudes of Chaoyan Technology and Longtu Company. It was called First-Rate Companies Value Talents, Second-Rate Companies Value Profits. The article said, both are high-tech companies, But in order to save costs, Longtu Company made fraudulent contracts during the acquisition, causing countless retired workers to have no place to live or recover. This caused the vicious incident of employees surrounding the headquarters of Longtu Tower. On the other hand, Chaoyan Technology prepared for a rainy day and wholeheartedly served its employees. They thought of their employees and did what their employees wanted to do the most. When the two were compared, the difference was obvious. But a whistling feather arrow hit the bullseye position on the target. Good arrow. You shot 10 arrows in a row and each arrow hit the bullseye. Young master, your archery skills are getting better and better. Young master, give me a chain arrow. Li Guochang handed over a towel. General Xing took the towel and wiped his hands clean. He said, "Thank you, Guochang. We're brothers. You can do this kind of thing for me, but you don't have to do this kind of thing for me." Li Guochang smiled and said, "It's just convenient. I'm not trying to flatter you. It's good. We're brothers. There's no need to play around." Li Guochang followed General Xing to the lounge and said, "I heard that the military order in Huaqing didn't go well." General Xing glanced at Li Guochang and said with a smile, "There's an old saying, the more daring a person is, the more productive the land is. In other words, the more productive the land is, the more daring the person is. That younger brother of mine, he's a little too impatient. He's eager to make a contribution. He doesn't even look at the level of his opponent and falls headfirst into it. Is it worth it for that little bit of money?" Chapter 534. This was the best shooting range in Yanjing, and General Xing and his group of young masters were the most distinguished guests here. As soon as the guests walked into the lounge, a service staff brought warm water and towels to wash their hands, and then a second group of service staff brought hot tea according to the guests' preferences, and a third group of service staff brought fruits and snacks. The service staff were all tall beauties wearing white cheongsams, and it was said that many of them were female students from the university town. Their qualifications were quite outstanding. Li Guochang picked up a strawberry with a fork and stuffed it into his mouth to moisten his throat, then looked at General Xing and said, "What? Young master doesn't like that Fang Yan?" "It's not that I don't like him, it's that I don't want to see him." General Xing held the hot tea and carefully sipped it with a faint smile on his face. "That Fang Yan, he does have some ability. His mind is not weak and his martial arts are not bad. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's an all-rounder. Otherwise, would that arrogant younger brother of mine have been repeatedly defeated in front of him? If Yang Zhulu lost, then so be it. What kind of person is Qiang Long Tan? Just take our Yanjing city as an example. How many people can be more calculative than him? And the result? After provoking that kid, he mysteriously disappeared, and Jiang Zhulu had to pretend to be a filial son, and also had to think of a way to explain where his father went. It's not easy to live." Hearing General Xing's interesting words, Li Guochang couldn't help but grin and said, "Since young master thinks so highly of Fang Yan, why do you think that the military's hard work isn't worth that little? Fang Yan is a rotten egg." General Xing said, "If you don't like to eat rotten eggs, just move it to a place where you can't see it or turn your line of sight to another place, because you don't like it, you want to kick that rotten egg away. And the result? Isn't it just staining your body with the stench? And that stench is incomparably stinky, the wind can't blow it away and water can't wash it off. In the end, isn't it still you who suffers? Why do you have to go against that Fang Yan? If I had the time to fight with this rotten egg, I don't know how many enterprises I could have built and how much profit I could have earned for the family. Compared with showing my talent to consolidate my position in the family, isn't defeating Fang Yan just a piece of cake?" Li Guochang picked another strawberry and stuffed it into his mouth. He asked casually, "A military order can't even solve a rotten egg. I'm afraid that your image will be damaged and your position in the family will be shaken." General Xing looked at Li Guochang with a serious face and said, "Guochang, what do you think?" A few days ago when I was bored, I flipped through a few pages of the Book of Changes. There are a few sentences in it that I think are very reasonable. Heaven is the highest and the earth is the lowest. There must be rules in everything. If there are no rules, wouldn't the world be in chaos? General Xing laughed out loud, pointed at Li Guochang and said, "You, a boor, still have the mood to read those ancient books? It's good to read ancient books. The ancient books explain everything clearly. There are a lot of people nowadays who don't have parents or brothers and don't care about etiquette or shame. It's really hateful. The smile on General Xing's face gradually disappeared. He said, Guochang say shouldn't we help my little brother? Of course, Li Guochang nodded without hesitation. Other people don't care about friendship or blood, but we can't do such a thing. How about this? I'll go to Flying Flower City tonight and help the military order? General Xing nodded and said, that's fine. Then I'll have to trouble you, Guochang. Li Guochang chuckled and said, we're friends, this is what I should do. No, you're my brother. General Xing looked at Li Guochang with a serious face and said, my blood brother. The two of them looked at each other, then burst out laughing. 270 kilometers per hour, 280 kilometers per hour, 301 kilometers per hour. Fang Haohen stared at the speed displayed on the top of the train and happily said to Fang Yingying, Hero will arrive at Flying Flower City in 2 hours. When we get there we'll be able to see Junior Marshal Uncle. Calm down a bit. Fang Yingying was holding a copy of The Theory of a Strong Nation and reading it with great interest. He said with a calm and confident expression, you need to have the elegant demeanor of a mature man. Fang Haohen seriously looked at Fang Yingying and said, you look very mature, but you're not elegant at all. Just when Fang Yingxiang was about to retaliate, he suddenly thought of something and returned to his refined appearance. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, he said softly like a Maitreya Buddha, you don't know what refined is. You don't even look elegant, so how can you be elegant? Fang Haohen looked at Fang Yingying expressionlessly and said, you bought this book at the train station and flipped to page 37 when you got on the train. It's already been a few hours and you're still reading page 37. You're not elegant, you're pretentious. Whoosh! Fang Yingying angrily flipped dozens of pages of The Theory of a Strong Nation in his hands and looked at Fang Haohen. Fang Haohen, you idiot. Why didn't you tell me earlier when you found out about my flaws? What if she found out? Who found out? Fang Haohen looked at Fang Yingying blankly and asked. They were sitting in the business class compartment of the train, and there was no one they knew in the entire compartment. Who was he afraid of seeing? It's her. Fang Yingying's eyes were shy as he answered embarrassedly. Who is she? You've seen her before? When have I seen her before? During the ticket check. Ah, Fang Haohen finally understood. He looked at Fang Yingying in surprise and said, you like that stewardess? Shoo. Fang Yingying hurriedly covered his mouth and whispered, lower your voice, don't let anyone hear you. Fang Haohen pulled Fang Yingying's hand away. He didn't like others touching his lips. That was the most sacred organ of the human body to him. How could one eat without a mouth? If one couldn't eat, how could one live? It was too sacred. Don't you think she looks sexy in uniform? Fang Yingying asked in a low voice. His cheeks were slightly red, like a little boy who had just experienced his first awakening of love. Fang Haohen thought about it and shook his head. No. You actually said no? Don't you think she's sexy? Maybe she wears too much. Fang Haohen said with a simple and honest face. Sexy women wear very little. It's all like that on TV. Fang Yingying opened his mouth and found that he couldn't refute. However, he quickly became happy again and said, that's good. If you don't think she's sexy, you won't be my rival in love. Although you can't be the rival of the Casanova of Swallow Dock, you are my brother. I don't want to see you in a miserable state after a crushing defeat. Why would I fight with Junior Marshal Uncle for a woman? Miss Yi is the future mistress of our Fang family. I won't take her away, Fang Haohen said with a frightened face. I won't do such a thing. Miss Yi isn't my type. I'm talking about me. I'm your rival. But you're talking about the Casanova of Swallow Dock. Junior Marshal Uncle is the Casanova of Swallow Dock. When Junior Marshal Uncle isn't here, I am. Fang Yingying's explanation was quite lacking in confidence. He said, but that's not the point. The point is, how can I win her over? I don't know. Fang Haohen didn't have any experience in relationships. He didn't know how to make a girl happy. But this kind of thing was too far away for him. So when Fang Yingying asked him this question, his first reaction was, this guy is an idiot. Why would he think of asking me this question of anyone else? I know you don't know. So I asked you on purpose. Fang Yingying said proudly, if you don't have a smart brain, I hope you have excellent acting talent. Fang Haohen stared at Fang Yingying with a vigilant face and asked, what do you want to do? Fang Yingying's fat body leaned over and whispered in Fang Haohen's ear for a while. Fang Haohen's skeleton body suddenly shook. He looked at Fong Yingying with an extremely embarrassed expression and said, "You actually want me to act as a robber?" "I didn't ask you to act as a robber," Fong Yingying explained with a serious face. "I just want you to act as a robber, and this isn't a robber. This is a train. What do you want to rob? Rob? Rape? This is illegal, we can't do it." "Then what do you mean?" "You go act as a little hooligan," Fong Yingying said with a face full of excitement. "When my goddess walks over, you little hooligan will go up and tease her." "How do I tease her?" Fong Haohan asked. "Say some dirty things to her, touch her or something like that. Isn't that still rape?" "This is different from rape." Fong Yingying felt like he was about to collapse. Why don't you understand? She had really succeeded in doing it. Flirting is when you think that the woman is beautiful, so you have some wretched thoughts in your mind. But this is only your moral character isn't up to standard, but it won't lead to a crime. The former might lead to jail time, the latter is normal. Normal? "She'll slap you twice," Fong Yingying said in a low voice. "But don't worry, I won't give her the chance to slap you. Before she slaps you, I'll stand up and righteously scold you for your bad behavior. Then I'll loudly tell you to scram and you'll immediately leave." "Where do I go?" "Hey, the train is so big, can't you sit for a while? Give us some private space, let's talk about our feelings. Maybe it'll be done and you'll have a sister-in-law." "I won't do it," Fong Haohan refused. "Why?" "I don't know how to say dirty things." "That's easy, I'll teach you," Fong Yingying said. He pinched Fong Haohan's chin with his chubby hand, smiled lewdly and said, "Beauty, you smell so good, come let big brother have a whiff." "Let go of me." Fong Haohan hated it when people touched his chin, so he slapped Fong Yingying's hand away. Yes, that's more like it. "Little beauty, don't you like big brother?" "Big brother likes you a lot." At the door of the carriage, a beautiful police officer stared at the unsightly scene in front of her. Chapter 535. Fong Yingying had just gotten into the zone and didn't notice the strange gazes of others. He pinched Fong Haohan's chin with his chubby hand and said with a lewd smile, "Don't struggle, don't resist. The more you struggle, the happier I'll be. The more you resist, the more excited I'll be. I like little girls like you. Come, let me have a taste." As he spoke, Fong Yingying moved his chubby sausage mouth toward Fong Haohan's lips. Sun couldn't stand it anymore. She strode toward Fong Yingying, who was acting like a hooligan, and shouted angrily, "Hooligan, stop." It was like a basin of frozen water in the middle of winter, like a basin of boiling water in the middle of summer. This kind of feeling was too cruel, but it was also burning hot and peeling off his skin. Fong Yingying didn't expect that someone would keep staring at them, and it was the pretty policewoman that he had fallen in love with at first sight. Fong Yingxiong, who didn't have much experience in love, was dumbfounded when he saw her embarrassed and angry look on her face. She rushed over and looked like she wanted to beat him up. His body was stiff, the fat on his face was shaking, and his right hand was still pinching Fong Haohan's chin. He looked anxiously at the policewoman. He wanted to say something to explain, but his throat felt like it was stuffed with dough and he couldn't say a word. Such a scene was too embarrassing. He wanted to explain, but he did not know where to start. Sun Li rushed in front of Fong Yingying because of her anger. After thinking about it, she took 2 steps back and kept a safe distance from Fong Yingying. She pointed at Fong Yingying and shouted, "Hooligan, let go of your dirty hands." "Let go?" "Yes, let go of his dirty hands." After Sun Li's reminder, Fong Yingying knew what he should do first. He let go of Fong Haohan's sharp chin and anxiously explained to Sun Li, "I'm not a hooligan. You are a hooligan." Sun Li was so angry that her body trembled. She looked at Fong Yingying with disdain and said, "Do you think I didn't see what you did just now? I don't discriminate against love between comrades, but if you force someone when they don't like you, it's a kind of hooligan behavior. Not only are you behaving like a hooligan, but you're also breaking the law." Fong Yingying glanced at Fong Haohan and said with a smile, "Police comrade, you misunderstood." "Misunderstanding? I saw you groping someone with my own eyes, and you still dare to say that I misunderstood? Do you think I'm blind?" "Yes, I did touch him," Fong Yingying explained with a serious face. "But police comrade, it's not what you think. He and I are friends, brothers." "He's my brother, my biological brother." "You're my brother," Fong Haohan said snappily. He hated it when people touched his chin. "You're Fong Yingying and I'm Fong Haohan. Isn't the hero always ranked before the hero? Why should I be older than you?" Yes, yes, yes. Fong Yingying nodded repeatedly. He pointed at Fong Haohen and said to the policewoman, "Police comrade, did you hear that? I'm Fong Yingying and he's Fong Haohen. I'm his brother and we're actors. We're international non-famous actors. We're just fooling around. This is really a misunderstanding." Sun Li's eyes swept between Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen's faces and said, "Are you two really brothers?" "We're really brothers." Fong Yingying nodded with great sincerity and determination. Sun Li looked at their faces again and said, "Take out your IDs." She still could not believe that these two people were blood brothers. How could blood brothers look like such a strange appearance? Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen looked at each other, and had no choice but to take out their IDs from their pockets and hand them over to the policewoman. Sun Li looked at their IDs and her expression became even more confused. Are these two really blood brothers? One was called Fong Yingying and the other was called Fong Haohen? Their birthplace and address were both in a place called Swallow Dock? "You two come with me." Sun Li's attitude towards the two became even worse. "Why?" Fong Yingying asked in confusion. "We've both taken out our IDs to prove that we're brothers. Can't we joke around between brothers? I suspect that your IDs are fake." Sun Li said. "Our IDs are real. Our identities are fake." Fong Haohen couldn't hold it in anymore. He stood up in front of Fong Yingying and said, "We're not actors and we weren't rehearsing a scene just now. Fong Yingying wanted to pursue you so he asked me to act out a scene with him. He said he wanted me to act as a hooligan who wanted to touch you. I didn't know how to act as a hooligan so he personally demonstrated it to me. There's never been such a brainless way to pick up a girl." Fong Haohen shut up. Fong Yingying wanted to block Fong Haohen's mouth. This idiot, how could he say such a thing out loud? "Fong Yingying, you're the one who should shut up." Fong Haohen said snappily, "It's already like this, how long are you going to hide it? Don't you just like her? What's there to hide about this kind of thing? We're martial artists and we do things to protect the country and the people. Chasing a girl, what's there to hide?" Fong Haohen looked at Sun Li expressionlessly and said, "He likes you, do you like him?" Sun Li looked at Fong Haohen, then at Fong Yingxiong whose face was purplish red from holding back his anger. She opened her mouth and shouted angrily, "The two of you, come with me." Watching. The station police office. "Police comrade, we're good people. Look at my face. I'm so fat, how could I be a bad person?" Fong Yingying pointed at his fat face and said with a wronged expression, "Thin people are bad people?" Fong Haohen was very dissatisfied with Fong Yingying's argument and retorted, "Most bad people are thin people. Look at the TV shows, it's always Fatso who plays the good guy, hiding a dagger behind a smile. That's exactly what people like you, Fatso." Bam. Sun Li slammed the table, pointed at Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen and scolded, "Can you two stop arguing? This is the police station. Is there anyone coming to pick you up? If no one comes to pick you up, I'll lock you up for a night." Seeing that Sun Li was angry, Fong Yingying's heart ached. He kicked Fong Haohen and said, "Fong Haohen, can you not always go against me? A man should have a man's elegance. Don't you know that you're acting like a child that hasn't grown up yet?" Seeing that Fong Haohen wanted to retaliate again, Fong Yingying quickly said, "Call Junior Marshal Uncle again and see where he is." When Fong Yen pushed open the door of the interrogation room, he happened to hear Fong Yingying yelling for Fong Haohen to call him. Fong Yen stood at the door of the room and smiled guiltily at Sun Li. He said, "Sorry I'm late. My two friends, did they do anything illegal?" Sun Li looked at Fong Yen and thought to herself, "This man is indeed handsome. Too bad, how could he be friends with two idiots like them? They didn't do anything illegal, it's just that." Sun Li thought about it and didn't want to pursue their other responsibilities. Although these two fellows looked strange, they looked silly, so they weren't bad people. So she looked at Fong Yen and said, "Forget it, there's some misunderstanding. Come and sign here and take them back." "Thank you," Fong Yen said gratefully. Fong Yen signed the document that Sun Li handed over and nodded at her. He turned to look at Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen and said, "Let's go." Fong Haohen stood up, walked in front of Fong Yen and said respectfully, "Junior Marshal Uncle." Fong Yingying looked at Sun Li reluctantly and said, "Miss, I'm fine now, right?" "You're fine," Sun Li said. "It's time to get off work. You're no longer a police officer and I'm no longer your suspect, right?" "That's right." Sun Li nodded. What do you want to say? I mean, can you? Fang Yingying's fat face turned red again, like a heated braised pig head. Can you give me your phone number? Sun Li stared at him and said, why do you want my phone number? I think. Fang Yingying hesitated for a few seconds and said, I'm not a good person and I may often make mistakes. If I get your phone number, I can call the police directly when I make a mistake. That way I can prevent my mistakes from becoming bigger and hurting innocent people. Fang Yan looked at Fang Yingying in surprise. How did he come up with such a shameless reason? Why do I always have a very embarrassing feeling when I'm with them? I'm just a police officer. I know. Fang Yingying nodded seriously. I often take the bullet train. The bullet train we met on. It's fine if there are hooligans causing trouble, but if there aren't hooligans causing trouble, I don't know how to find you. Sun Li didn't know whether to laugh or cry and said, who prays for hooligans causing trouble? Besides, why are you looking for me? I like you. Fang Yingying looked straight into Sun Li's eyes and said, do you like me? Fang Yingying followed up with another question. Sun Li shook her head and said, no. Fang Yingying's face was extremely embarrassed, and there was an emotion called sadness in his eyes. Soon he grinned again and said, I knew you would answer like this. Confessing to you on the first day we met seems a bit exaggerated. It's like a man who treats feelings as child's play. You don't know me yet, so you think you don't like me. If you know me, you'll know that I'm not the kind of playboy who only has a good appearance. Fang Yingying reached out to hold Sun Li's hand, but Sun Li avoided it. Fang Yingying clicked his tongue with some regret and said, if I can only say this to one woman in my life, I hope that the recipient is you. I like you. By the way, girl, what's your name? Chapter 536. Fang Yingying's eyes were wide open and round. The expression on his face was so sincere and serious. People say that serious men are the most attractive. For example, men who are serious about laying bricks, men who are serious about writing, men who are serious about repairing water pipes, men who are serious about cooking and washing vegetables, men who are serious about courtship or serious about making love. However, why does Sun Li always have a feeling that she will accidentally laugh? If she laughs at such a moment, it must hurt the man's self-esteem, right? However, she really can't stand it. She felt that Fang Yingying at this time was like a serious and cute Garfield. Thinking of Garfield's appearance, Sun Li couldn't hold it anymore. Pooh! She sprayed out the tea in her mouth and it splashed on Garfield's cute face. I'm sorry. Sun Li quickly took out a tissue to wipe Fang Yingying's face. Fang Yingying still maintained his original posture and let Sun Li wipe his face with the tissue. He said, do you promise me? I'll take this sip of tea as a token of love from you. Sun Li threw away the tissue in her hand and said angrily, why are you so thick-skinned? Spitting out a mouthful of tea is a token of love. Spitting on your face, does it mean that we have a French kiss? Bez, I like you. If other women treat me like this, I would have already spat back. Fang Yingying's face was covered with clear water stains. He looked at Sun Li firmly and said, girl, you haven't told me your name yet. Sun Li. Sun Li hesitated and replied. Sun Li. A good woman is afraid of a pestering man. Under Fang Yingying's pestering, the policewoman finally said her name. Sun Li. Fang Yingying wrote down the name seriously and said, you look good and have a nice name. No wonder I liked you so much when I saw you. I introduced myself in the car, but it wasn't a formal occasion. My name is Fang Yingying. Fang Yingying looked at Sun Li and said, a square is a square place, and a hero is a hero who saves a beauty. Okay, I'll remember it. Sun Li waved her hand and said, you guys go back quickly, I'm going to get off work. I'll be back, Fang Yingying said. Goodbye, Fang Yan said with a smile. According to the rules in the sect, he was a generation older than Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen had always called him junior martial uncle. However, in his heart he treated these two guys who were the same age as him as his own brothers. Su Wan also treated them as her own sons. According to the rules of normal people, Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen should be married and have children at their age. However, the reality was that the two of them hadn't even been in a normal relationship. He was really afraid that as time passed, the two of them would become more and more pleasing to the eye and get together. That would be a big deal. His mother Suwan would definitely go crazy. Now seeing Fong Yingying take the initiative to attack a girl, Fong Yan was sincerely happy for him. If possible, he also hoped that the two of them could be together. Sun Li was beautiful and her character was also very wild, which could suppress Fong Yingying's disease of being a slut. Look at him, didn't he find Yi Ro as his girlfriend? Ba 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 ba, what am I talking about? Goodbye. Sun Li stood up. She didn't know why, but she always felt a little strained when facing Fong Yan. It was like there was something invisible covering the top of her head, making it difficult for her to breathe, and even the movement of getting up was a little stiff. Is this nervousness? But why am I nervous? Even when facing the leader of their branch office, I didn't feel so nervous. Fong Yan patted Fong Yingying's shoulder, looked at Sun Li and said, "He is my brother." "I know." Sun Li nodded. "He is a good man," Fong Yan said seriously. Sun Li understood the weight of Fong Yan's words. After thinking for a long time, she nodded and said, "I know." Fong Yan smiled and said, "Goodbye." "Goodbye." Fong Yan's car was parked in the yard. Fong Yingying saw the BMW and said, "Yo, Junior Marshal uncle bought a car. Principal Lu's car. She doesn't need it for the time being, so I borrowed it." Fong Yan said and walked to the driver's seat. Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen's eyes looked at each other vaguely. Fong Yingying walked over and opened the door of the passenger seat. He sat down and asked, "Junior Marshal uncle, where are we staying this time?" "Staying with me," Fong Yan said. "Of course we are staying with Junior Marshal uncle. We still have to take care of Junior Marshal uncle's food and clothing," Fong Yingying said shamelessly. "By the way, are we going back to school? Are we still staying in the small courtyard where we lived before? To be honest, that courtyard is really good. I have feelings for living there." "No," Fong Yan said. "In Plum Garden." Plum Garden was the villa community where Lu Chaoga lived now. Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen were also going to live with them. "It's not appropriate, is it?" Fong Yingying said embarrassedly. "I heard that Junior Marshal uncle and Principal Lu live together. Will we disturb you if we go there?" Fong Yan drove without looking sideways. He was afraid that if he saw Fong Yingying's current appearance, he would beat him up. He said aloud, "You must live in Plum Garden. You have to go there." Fong Yan was too familiar with the thoughts of these two guys. They were nominally his martial nephews, but in fact they were more inclined to be Yi Gentle's undercover agents. They kept saying that they were going to live in Rosefinch's courtyard, but in fact they wanted to test the relationship between him and Lu Chaoga. If he was stupid and really let them live in Rosefinch's courtyard, Yi Gentle would probably be furious. What shameful thing did I do with Lu Chaoga? Why did she kick Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen away? Fong Haohen sat in the back seat, took out his cell phone from his pocket and secretly sent a message. There were only 2 words in the message. Plum Garden. Fong Yan had long been accustomed to the betrayal of these two guys. He asked, "Why did you two come by train? Isn't it faster by plane? And you had a conflict with the police?" With a sad face, Fong Yingying said, "Some time ago Yanjing held a world boxing competition. The Thai boxing champion Ha Chai was arrogant and domineering. He said that he would beat all the masters in Wuxia and show us the power of Muay Thai. Ha Chai took a plane to Yanjing to participate in the competition, but the plane crashed in Malaysia. So what if he is good at Kung Fu? Isn't there only a dead end for him? A martial arts senior once said that I should keep everything under control, so I only take the train. If there is something wrong with the train, we can jump out of the train. What if there is something wrong with the plane? Can we jump out of the train? It's too dangerous. It's not in line with the style of us martial arts practitioners who seek perfection and stability. We took the train," Fong Haohen said in the back seat. "If the train breaks down," Fong Yingying turned back angrily and said, "Fong Haohen, shut your crow's mouth. I haven't settled the matter of you betraying me on the train. If I didn't tell the truth, you would have been locked up in the police station for hooliganism," Fong Haohen retorted. When Fong Yan took Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen back, Lu Chaoga had already prepared a large table full of food. The injury on Lu Chaoga's palm was almost healed. During this time she often cooked, but Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen felt flattered. The director of Rosefinch Secondary, the chairman of Chaoyan Technology, was a goddess in their hearts. Now she personally cooked such a large table of delicious food for the two brothers. Although they hadn't eaten it yet, they felt that the food was very delicious at first glance. Lu Chaoga wore a set of white casual clothes with an apron around her neck. She wiped her hands with a handkerchief and smiled at Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen. Are you hungry? The room has been prepared for you. You can go upstairs to take a shower and change your clothes before going downstairs to eat. Thank you, Principal Lu. Fong Yingying said gratefully. Don't call me Principal Lu. Lu Chaoga said. If you don't mind, just call me Sister Lu. Thank you, Sister Lu. Fong Yingying immediately changed the way he addressed her. Fong Yen took Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen upstairs. Fong Haohen whispered to Fong Yingying, she told us to call her Sister Lu. Why are you calling her Sister Lu? Don't you think I'll look cuter if I add one more word? Fong Yingying asked. Fong Yan's footsteps slipped and he almost missed a step and fell flat on his face. This Fong Yingying. Now he knew how to act cute. Fong Yen took Fong Yingying to the westernmost room on the second floor. He pushed open the door and said to Fong Yingying, Hero, this is your room. Chaoga knew you were coming, so she prepared the room in advance. The bedsheets and bedding are all new. There are also some clothes and pajamas prepared for you in the wardrobe. The training clothes and cloth shoes are also prepared. If you need anything else, you can tell her or me. Hero's room is on the other side and you two will live opposite each other. Fong Haohen pushed open the door to his own room, which was exactly the same as the one on the other side. The furniture was brand new and the bedsheets were all new. There was a faint fragrance in the air, and they could see the beautiful scenery when they opened the window. This is a luxurious house, Fong Yingying said with a sigh. It's so comfortable, Fong Haohen said. Fong Yen saw that the two brothers were very satisfied with the place, so he said, You two wash up and go downstairs to eat. I'll go downstairs and have a look. After Fong Yen left, Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen hurried to the same room, and Fong Yingying closed the door carefully. Be careful. You must be careful. Fong Yingxiong said with a dignified expression, This is a plot to sow discord. They want to bribe us and place us undercover agents around Miss Yi. I'm Miss Ye's woman and I'm Miss Ye's dead woman. I will never betray Miss Yi. Fong Haohen hurriedly swore. Fong Yingying nodded deeply and said, That's right. But Sister Lu is also a good person. It would be great if Junior Marshal Uncle could marry 2 wives. Fong Haohen thought for a moment and said regretfully, It's useless even if you tell me. We can't help with this kind of thing. Chapter 537. Whether it was Yi Rou, Lu Chaoga or Qin Yitian who was also in Yanjing, they were all outstanding women of the present age. No matter who they entrusted their lives to, that man would be the most envied person in the world. However, things became complicated when these women gathered around Fong Yen at the same time. At least, Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen felt it was very troublesome to deal with this kind of thing. Think about it, if Lu Chaoga, Yi Rou and Qin Yitian all fell in love with one of them at the same time, how terrible it would be. I can't help him either. Fong Yingying shook his head and sighed. It's not that we don't want to share the burden of Junior Marshal Uncle, but this kind of thing. The key is his own determination. If he likes it, we like it. If they don't like it, we can't like it either. Fong Haohen said. Because they won't like us either. That's hard to say. Fong Yingying had always been very confident about his charm. Women nowadays like ambiguous men. Look at me. Am I ambiguous? Women like dubious men. They don't like hugging a stove. You're a big stove. You will roast people alive. Fong Haohen, do you want to fight? No. Fong Haohen turned around and went back to his room. Fong Yingxiong was very angry. He took off all his clothes and rushed into the bathroom. Stroking his round belly, he looked at himself in the mirror and said, Why isn't this a flirting man? How come I am not an ambiguous man? Which girl doesn't feel warm holding such a big pile of meat? Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen took a shower and went downstairs. Fong Yen and Lu Chaoga were already waiting for them in the living room for dinner. Fong Yen purposely went out and called Qin Ying in. Qin Ying followed the rules and was unwilling to enter the house. Fong Yen smiled and said that if Qin Ying did not come in, he would not be able to secretly learn his martial arts in the future. Qin Ying was very anxious. He had been learning from Fong Yen for a period of time and discovered that some of Fong Yan's methods were very effective. He did not focus on punches and kicks, but on the depth and ingenuity of his strength. However, when the two of them exchanged blows, he didn't have the strength to resist Fang Yan at all. He always had a sullen feeling of being suppressed. He knew that Fang Yan was playing at a higher level than him and was greedily absorbing the knowledge. If Fang Yan really refused to let him practice martial arts with him in the morning, where else could he find such a good teacher? Isn't it just a meal? Qin Ying said with a flushed face. Even if I have to eat a bowl of sh*tea, I'll accept it. Seeing Qin Ying's heroic appearance, Fang Yan thought of asking Fang Ying to have a good talk with him when he woke up the next morning. It had been a while since he had seen a hero. He wanted to see if these two brats' martial arts had improved and if they were slacking off when they were at Swallow Dock. Fang Yan opened a bottle of Maotai and filled the glasses in front of them. Then he raised his own glass and looked at everyone present. He said, I haven't drunk for a while. First, there's nothing worth drinking. Second, I don't have the mood to drink. Today is to welcome the heroes and also to express my gratitude to Qin Ying for his hard work these few years. Let me give you a toast. After Fang Yan finished speaking, he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. I just did what I should do. After Qin Ying finished speaking, he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Fang Ying and Fang Haohen raised their glasses and said, to Junior Martial Uncle. There's no reason. You're our Junior Martial Uncle after all. After that, they drank the wine in their glasses as well. Fang Yan poured himself another glass of wine, then said to Lu Zhaoge, here's to Zhaoge. It's so nice to have you. Fang Yan didn't say thank you, for that sounded too frivolous and distant. If someone gave you a pound of apples, you had to say thank you. If someone gave you a carton of milk, you had to say thank you. If someone said something auspicious, you had to say thank you. If someone gave you directions, you had to say thank you. How could thank you express Fang Yan's affection and gratitude for Lu Zhaoge? It was so nice to have you. Those words carried a lot of weight. In this world, who couldn't live without each other? Who couldn't live without each other? One had to go through a lot of people in life, and most of them would just brush past each other. Only one or two people would make you thank God and thank fate for letting you meet each other. Those people were the most precious treasures of your life. I just did what I wanted to do. Lu Zhaoge looked at Fang Yan and said. He raised his glass and clinked it with Fang Yan. Then he drank up the white wine as well. She understood what he was going to say. She understood what he wasn't going to say. Fang Yan drank 2 glasses in a row before he put down his glass and said with a smile, let's all try Principal Lu's cooking. Chances like this don't come often, Qin Ying said with a smile. I'm going to have a good taste. I'll have to eat more today. Fang Ying and Fang Haohen couldn't stop praising Lu Zhaoge's cooking. Their flattery made Fang Yan want to kill them. The 5 of them drank 3 bottles of Maotai. Qin Ying went out to patrol after he finished drinking. He seemed to be fine. Lu Zhaoge was a little drunk. She said goodbye to everyone and went upstairs to rest. Fang Ying and Fang Haohen were here, so Fang Yan didn't have to do the dishes himself. Fang Haohen went to do the dishes and Fang Ying went to make some tea. The 3 of them sat in the courtyard on the balcony and chatted while drinking tea. Fang Ying and Fang Haohen talked about the interesting things in Swallow Dock. They talked about how the old man brought the King Kong eagle that Qin Etian gave him to go around the village every day. He even started to train the eagle. The King Kong eagle had a strong personality, but it was very compatible with the old man. The 2 of them had established a basic communication method. They said that Yi Ro was in seclusion and they hadn't seen each other for a long time. It was said that she was about to break through again. If he broke through again, he might leave youngest martial uncle in the dust again. But they didn't mention the 2 important people of the Fang family. One was Fang Yan's mother, Lu Wan, the other was the old drunkard. Where's the old drunkard? There's still no news from him? Fang Yan tried his best to sound relaxed, but the expression on his face was still too stiff. No. Fang Ying and Fang Haohen's expression also turned serious. It's been 3 years since Master went to the Arctic, and there's no news from him. Zhu Xian came back from Mo Bay 3 months ago. He said he went to the Arctic to search, and found no trace of Master. He also said, what else? He also said that the Arctic is not suitable for humans to live in. Fang Yan's heart became heavier. After a long silence, he said in a low voice, when the old drunkard left, he said to Grandpa, either we return home in one piece or we have a sky burial in Snow Kingdom. We owe him this. Junior Marshal Uncle, is there really such a thing in the world? The ice dragon is a legend. To use the ice dragon's muscles to make up for the defects of the human body. This is impossible. That old guy, the medical fanatic, is not a good person. We prepared gifts for him, but he couldn't cure us. How could he use this mysterious pond to harm people? He hasn't even seen it himself. Why would he ask Master to find it for him? And even if he finds it, he still has to leave him 1/2 pound of blood. He has taken all the advantages in the world. There are not many doctors in the world who are good people. Fang Yan's face was gloomy. He said, since the medical fanatic dared to write this prescription, it proves that there is such a thing in the world. I have seen the introduction of the ice dragon in the extraordinary medical record. It is shaped like a dragon and its skin is like ice. The book said that the blood of the ice dragon is extremely hot and can even burn the air. Hot blood can cure all diseases, cold blood can prolong life. But it did not say that the meridians of the ice dragon can make up for the broken meridians. More importantly, the ice dragon is rare in the world and can only be obtained by those who are fated. In the land of extreme cold, there is no human habitation and no plants grow. Except for those animals that can withstand the cold, there is almost no life. It is not easy to survive there, let alone to find an ice dragon that can fuse with the ice and snow in the vast sea of snow. The old drunkard was not the old drunkard at his peak. He only had moves but no energy to support them. At this time the old drunkard was not even a match for Fang Yan. He went to that place alone with his spear. Not to mention finding the ice dragon, it was unknown whether he could come back alive. But no one opposed the old drunkard's choice and no one stopped the old drunkard's footsteps. Because everyone knew that since the old drunkard said he would definitely go. No one could persuade him, no one could stop him. Unless he died. The old drunkard's surname was Mo, but he was a member of the Fang family. Fang Hui's legs were crippled, and Fang Yixing died tragically at the entrance of Swallow Dock. Although his 3 uncles were talented, they could not bear the heavy responsibility. Other than the young Fang Yan, the Fang family had no one to support them. At this time someone had to stand up. Someone had to wipe the Fang family's name, someone had to shoulder the burden of the Fang family, someone had to protect the old, the young, the sick and the disabled from the wind and rain, as well as the murderous intent that could come at any time. He stood up and stood side by side with Fang Yan. At this time Fang Yan was in a difficult situation and it was too hard. So the old drunkard chose to believe the words of the medicine fanatic, and grasped the last straw of hope that was almost like a myth. Fang Yan knew that the old drunkard might not come back. But how could he say such words? He and the old drunkard were apprentice brothers, but they were like father and son. His Tai Chi foundation was taught by the old drunkard, his Fang Plum Blossom Steps was taught by the old drunkard, and his Tai Chi Palm, Tai Chi Finger and Tai Chi 13 forms were all taught by the old drunkard. Many people said that he was a genius of Tai Chi to be able to understand the heart of Tai Chi at such a young age. But who knew how much enlightenment the old drunkard had given him? A famous teacher produces a brilliant disciple. Without a famous teacher, how could there be a brilliant disciple like him? Fang Yixing died in battle and Fang Yan felt extremely guilty. Because for so many years their relationship as father and son wasn't harmonious, and was even a little indifferent. But Fang Yan and the old drunkard talked about everything, drinking, training and commenting on the heroes of the world. When the two of them were together they were more like father and son. Fang Yan had lost his father, Fang Yixing. Could it be that he was going to lose another important man in his life, the old drunkard? How tragic would such a fate be? Chapter 538. The old drunkard will definitely come back. Fang Yan said in a very firm voice. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were surprised. Fang Yingying asked, Junior Marshal Uncle, how do you know that my master will come back? Do you have any contact with my master? I knew it. Although he didn't contact us, he would definitely contact you. In our family he has the closest relationship with you. He called you? Oh, there's no signal in the land of extreme cold. He wrote you a letter. That's not right, there's no way to send a letter. How did he contact you? The old drunkard has come back. Fang Yan said. Already back? What kind of person was the old drunkard in the past? He was the Wuxia Azure Dragon who dared to challenge the heroes of the world. What kind of person was the old drunkard later? He was a decadent and degenerate countryman who loved alcohol as his life. At that time the old drunkard was long gone. His heart was dead. A hero with a white head, a beauty in her twilight years, this was more tragic than death. At that time the old drunkard lived a life worse than death. Otherwise he wouldn't have used alcohol as food to numb himself every day. The longer he slept, the less he thought. Maybe his heart would be more comfortable. However, he still stood up in the end. For the Fong family, for me and for you, he made the choice to go to the land of extreme cold. The moment he stood up, he came back. The moment he made the choice, he came back to life. No matter what the final outcome is, he is no longer the old drunkard. He is still the indomitable Wuxia azure dragon in our hearts. Don't underestimate the enemy. A person is not even afraid of death, what else is there to be afraid of? So what if it's the land of extreme cold? So what if it's the invisible ice dragon? He will definitely drink the dragon's blood, take out the dragon's tendons, cleanse the marrow and repair the meridians and return as the king. Fong Yingying looked at Fong Yen with red eyes, wiped his nose and said, "Junior martial uncle, when master comes back you must beat that Huaxia dragon." Got up. And Jiang Junling, he also bullied us. Fong Haohan gritted his teeth and said, "There's also Jiang Zhulu. He and junior martial uncle are fighting over a woman. There's also Bai Xiao. I feel like beating him up every time I see him. And Zhang Banian, last time he looked at me sideways. There's also Li Xiaoying. He said that eating glass is an illness and needs to be treated properly. Li Xiaoying even asked me to lose weight. How am I fat? So what if I'm fat? Wearing their clothes and eating their rice?" Fong Yingying and Fong Haohan discussed enthusiastically, like children who were left behind to be bullied. They memorized all the names of their enemies and waited for the adults at home to come back so that they could take revenge. However, after being joked around by the two of them, everyone's depressed mood suddenly became a lot more relaxed, as if the old drunkard was really going to return soon. Not only did they look forward to the old drunkard's return, but they also planned what the old drunkard was going to do when he came back. Beat people, beat people, beat people again. Their schedule was very full. "How's my mother's health?" Fong Yen asked aloud. When he was away from home, Fong Yen was most worried about his mother Lu Wan's health. During the 3 years of mourning in Swallow Dock, Lu Wan's performance was far stronger than Fong Yan's. Ever since she sent Fong Yixing away, she returned to her previous state of life. She read and wrote, drank tea in the morning and took a walk at dusk. The difference was that she opened up 2 vegetable plots next to Fong Yixing's grave. Every day she would go over to take care of it and talk to Fong Yixing's tombstone for a while. Her sadness was just right and her nostalgia was buried deep in her heart. Not only that, she also comforted Fong Yen from time to time so that he wouldn't have to bear any psychological pressure. Lu Wan told Fong Yen that it was a great blessing and opportunity for the two of them to become father and son. It was so for Fong Yen and so for Fong Yixing. As a father, Fong Yixing did his best. As a son, Fong Yen was also respectful and filial. They didn't owe each other anything. It was just that their luck was too short, their fate was too shallow, and the time they spent together was too little. Fong Yen didn't tell her that he stayed in Swallow Dock to accompany his father, and also to wait for those people to appear again. He didn't want her to worry because Fong Yen knew that she couldn't lose another family member. Now Fong Yen was in Huaqing, but he still called back every day to check on her. Every time Fong Yen asked, Lu Wan would say that she was fine, and asked Fong Yen not to worry about her. It was exactly the same reaction as all the other mothers in the world who received a call from their children. However, whether she was living well or not, only the people around her would know, right? "My mother is very good," Fong Yingying said. "She has a good appetite. She eats a small bowl of rice every meal, drinks a pot of flower tea every day, goes to the vegetable garden every morning, and recently she has been learning how to draw. She doesn't use her own study now but the previous study of the master of the family." Fong Yen nodded and said, "She told me to use it if I like it. There are too many traces in the study and it's good to recall them when you have nothing to do. I'm not afraid of being hurt, but I'm afraid of feeling lonely and helpless. Miss He used to drink a pot of flower tea with my mother every day, but recently she didn't go to the study because she was in seclusion." Fong Yen smiled and said, "She and my mother should get along well, right? It's strange. When other people come to visit my mother, it's usually the guest talking and my mother listening. But when Miss Yi comes, it's always my mother talking and Miss Yi listening. What's that saying again? Everything has its vanquisher. Flap. Fang Yan slapped Fang Yingying's head and said, "What do you mean by, everything has its vanquisher? Do you know how to talk?" "Exactly. This is the expression of my mother and my future mother's love for each other." "How can you say, everything has its vanquisher?" Fang Haohen added sharply. "That's my mother's love for my future mother." Fang Yingying touched his head with a face full of grievance. After a period of rest, the wound on Lu Chaoga's palm had healed, and the knife mark on her neck had completely disappeared. The golden chrysalis muscle-nourishing powder developed by Qin Luo, the medical king of the generation, was indeed extraordinary. Lu Chaoga began to take care of the affairs of Chaoyan Technology Group again. In other words, when Fang Yan and Du Qing joined forces to launch a counterattack against Jiang Junling, she had already stood up and become the sharp knife that pierced their hearts. After breakfast, Lu Chaoga was going to take Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen to work at Chaoyan Technology. Fang Yan transferred Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen out of Swallow Dock to protect the safety of Lu Chaoga and Du Qing. Fang Yan knew that Jiang Junling was guarding Huaqing, and both sides were deploying troops and making strange moves. Lu Chaoga was protected by the experts sent by the Qin family, but in Fang Yan's opinion, the defensive strength was still a little too weak. If the people who kidnapped Lu Chaoga last time weren't Qiang Longtan and Jiang Fengxing, but Jiang Junling personally, with the strength of the strange people around him, it would be very difficult for him to rescue Lu Chaoga. Fang Yan was also worried about Du Qing. Du Qing was the underground king of Huaqing, and logically speaking, there was no need to worry about his safety. However, Qing Hong had just experienced an internal conflict, and Jiang Junling was even more afraid of Du Qing, the local tyrant, and hated him to the bone. If he wanted to first get rid of this important general in front of Fang Yan, it would be very difficult for Du Qing to escape. Fang Yan planned to arrange for Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen to stay by Lu Chaoga and Du Qing's side respectively. If they were to keep an eye on her, it should be good for her to protect herself. Last night, Fang Yan had already told the heroes about his arrangements, so Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen tried to please Lu Chaoga in every possible way since early in the morning. They all hoped to stay by Lu Chaoga's side. Who wouldn't want to work by the side of a beauty? Moreover, it was a beauty that he was more familiar with. "Sister Lu, no matter what, I'm going to stay by your side. I, Fang Yingying, don't have any other abilities, but I do have a body full of fat. If you encounter danger, this body of fat will always be in front of you. It can't be pierced by knives and it can't be broken by bullets. I'll guarantee Sister Lu's safety." Fang Yingying patted his chest hard and said with a serious expression, "You don't have any other abilities, but you're good at bragging." Fang Haohen immediately ridiculed him from the side. "So what if I have a body full of fat? Other than moving slower, what else can it do? You still have the face to say that your fat can't be pierced by knives or bullets. Let me stab you with a knife and see? Let me try shooting you?" "Fang Haohen, other than eating glass, what else can you do? Do you know that this illness of yours will ruin big things? Sister Lu often has to go to some important events and often meet some important people. They are talking about business worth tens of billions and you pick up a glass cup and eat it noisily. Those who know you will know that you're sick and need to be treated. Those who don't know you will think that you're crazy. Miss Lu needs an ace bodyguard with a good image and temperament, like me and Qi Ning. If you go, you'll bring down Miss Lu's status. Du Qing is more suitable for you. He's the boss of a gang. When he's negotiating with people, you can pick up a beer bottle and eat it noisily. Don't you look majestic and prestigious? Who would dare to object to his conditions?" Fang Yan glanced at Lu Chaoga and said, "What's the name of Du Qing's daughter?" "I think she's called Liya." Lu Chaoga immediately understood Fang Yan's meaning and said, "She's young, beautiful, and has outstanding abilities. She's the future successor of Green Cloud Group. Last time, Boss Du said that he wanted me to help her find a young and talented man to be her son-in-law. Yesterday he even called me to urge me to ask if I found a suitable candidate. For such an important matter, how can I find a suitable candidate in such a short time?" "Liya." Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen's eyes immediately lit up. "There should be information about her on the internet. You can search for it," Fang Yan said. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen quickly took out their phones to search. When they saw Liya's photo, their eyes were about to spit fire. Fong Yingying beat his chest hard and said, "Sis, look. A young and talented man is right in front of you. There's no need to look, I'm the right person." Plop. Fong Haohen directly knelt in front of Lu Chaoga. When he raised his head, Fong Haohen's eyes were already filled with tears. "I didn't have parents since I was young. Fortunately, Master picked us up from the outside. Otherwise, I would have definitely gone astray and become a hooligan who would harm society. My body is sick and I have to eat glass for no reason. I'm ugly, I'm not even as good as Fong Yingying." Fong Yingying grinned. Fong Haohen rarely took the initiative to praise himself. As he laughed, his expression froze. He shouted at Fong Haohen, "Fong Haohen, what do you mean by you're not even as ugly as me?" Fong Haohen hugged Lu Chaoga's calf and said, "I'm already so old but I've never been in love. Other than you, no girl has ever smiled at me. Fong Yingying has a female police officer. He is a man who is loyal to his feelings and will not change easily. But where is my love? I want to fall in love." Chapter 539. Fong Haohen was sent to Duqing as he wished, and Fong Yingying was taken to Chaoyan Technology by Lu Chaoga. Fong Yingying was full of grievances, but he was a man who was serious and loyal to his feelings. Since he had fallen in love with Sun Li before, he must persist in his feelings. He didn't even have a chance to refute. Fong Yan drove to school for work. The security guard was doing the same regular and leisurely work as before, checking the post. Fong Yan didn't stand at the school gate to check the post. Instead, he sat in the security booth, made a cup of tea and read the newspaper. Life at school was very comfortable and leisurely. It was suitable for Fong Yan's state of mind to rest and relax at this time. 3 years ago, the heart of Tai Chi made a breakthrough. Fong Yan defeated Xianxia military department and became a new star in the martial arts world. Because his father, Fong Yixing, died in the battle, Fong Yan's body was full of hostility, and the heart of Tai Chi was covered in dust. In the past 3 years, the heart of Tai Chi didn't make any progress or show signs of another breakthrough. Fong Yan wanted to know what the heart of Tai Chi would be like after another breakthrough. Fong Yan wanted to know what the heart of Tai Chi would be like after another breakthrough. The way of Tai Chi was to let nature take its course. The more anxious you were, the more you would retreat. The reason why Yi Ro could make another breakthrough so quickly was also related to her mentality of having no desires. Yi Ro could have no desires, but could Fong Yan also have no desires? Yi Ro believed in martial arts wholeheartedly, while Fong Yan pursued the great power that the breakthrough of martial arts would bring to him. Only with power could he protect himself and avenge his father. Stay calm. Fong Yan comforted himself countless times in his heart. When he was in Swallow Dock, facing his father's tombstone and the traces left by his father, it was difficult for him to maintain this kind of calmness. However, he could do it in school. This was a school, a place where teachers taught and educated people, a place where students absorbed nutrition and rich knowledge. This was a sacred place, so sacred that it couldn't be tarnished and destroyed by the scheming violence and cruelty outside. At least that was what Fong Yan thought. Baldy walked over with a teacup in his hand and said, "There's nothing much to do here. You can take a walk around the school. The scenery at the Sparrow River is not bad." Ever since he saw Fong Yan bring his own teacup to make a cup of hot tea every day, Baldy also developed the habit of holding a teacup at work every day. He would take a sip from time to time when he was talking to others. This kind of behavior made him feel very cultured. Later, this habit became a trend and everyone in the security office of Rosefinch Secondary came to work with a cup of tea. If someone came to the security office to work, they would often see such a scene. Baldy took a sip of tea from his teacup and said, "There are a few more brats who are late today." Wang Chong also took a sip of tea and said, "I've written down all their names. I'll put up a notice in a while. It's time to teach these brats a lesson." Li Daong raised his head and gulped down a big mouthful of tea. He said, "What are we eating tonight? Fish with pickled cabbage and chili? I think the dried pig intestines from second brother Lu's family are not bad." "Li Daong, who are you pooing?" "I'm not pooing anyone. The tea got stuck in my throat." Fong Yan glanced at Baldy and said, "Did I affect your performance again? Look at what you're saying. I'm just afraid that you'll be bored sitting here." Baldy laughed and said, I know you cultured people like to see these mountains and rivers, so I mentioned it. If you don't like it, just pretend I didn't say it. Fang Yan stood up and said, then I'll go and take a look. Go. I'll call you if there's anything. Baldy said, but nothing will happen. What can happen to our security office? Since you came, there's not even a hoodlum at the school gate. You say if this goes on, will Principal Zhong remove our security office? Hasn't he been cutting the school's expenses recently? You think too much. Fang Yan said snappily. Zhong Dei was indeed cutting down on expenses recently, but it was all for some unnecessary research projects. No matter how much he cut, he wouldn't cut the security office. Zhong Dei and Fang Yan had the same idea. The safety of the students must be absolutely the first priority. It's good to hear that. Seems that I really thought too much. Baldy said slyly. He asked that stupid question just to sound out Fang Yan's mouth. If Fang Yan said he wouldn't remove it, then he definitely wouldn't remove it. Fang Yan stood up and walked into the depths of the school. The Sparrow River flowed quietly, and the surface of the lake was covered with a layer of gold. The Sparrow Bridge was still there, becoming the bridge that connected the two sides. Fang Yan strolled along the river. The trees were dense, the grass was long, and the soil exuded an alluring fragrance. The scenery was beautiful, and it made people feel relaxed and happy. Seeing that there was no one around, Fang Yan stood by the side of the Sparrow River and put on a Tai Chi stance, preparing to do a round of Tai Chi focused on the mind and not the routine. The body moved at will, which was why the heart of Tai Chi appeared. Concentrating, the Dantian fire ignited. Whatever he thought of, he would go wherever he thought of. His Tai Chi plum blossom steps produced plum blossoms in 3 steps, and his Tai Chi palm became the wind. He wore a green robe and had a jade-like face. When he was quiet, he was like a crane playing in the water. When he was heavy, he was like a roaring dragon. He lifted something heavy as if it were light and something light as if it were heavy. He was sometimes fast and sometimes slow, sometimes hidden and sometimes visible. All his skills were now under the early morning sun. What a natural Tai Chi! A loud shout came. Fang Yan stopped and turned around. He saw the excited Ho Zhendong, the martial arts fanatic, standing not far away and sizing him up. Why are you here? Fang Yan asked. Fang Yan didn't ask how he got in. With the martial arts fanatic Ho Zhendong's cultivation, he could even enter and exit within the red walls, let alone a school. Baldy and the others could stop the gangsters and ruffians, but they couldn't stop an expert from the Jianghu. They probably didn't even know that a martial arts fanatic had entered, right? I'm here to thank you in person, the martial arts fanatic said with a smile. Thank you? Fang Yan asked, puzzled. He didn't remember doing any favors for the martial arts fanatic. Possible he wished that he had never met this maniac. You are my enlightened master, the martial arts fanatic said, looking at Fang Yan with a smile. I've loved martial arts all my life and I like to see everything clearly. I've seen fists, palms, knives, spears, swords, rods, Shaolin and Wudong. I've wandered around and experienced hundreds of battles. Some have narrowly escaped death and some have easily defeated the enemy. In the end, I got the word fanatic. Only when you love to the extreme can you become a fanatic. I like to be called martial arts fanatic. However, it was also because he was too obsessed that he went astray. Wanting to understand everything would only make people more and more confused. I want to find an answer to every question, but many questions have no answer. I open my eyes wide to observe the mountains and rivers, but I can't see the mountains and rivers in front of me clearly. Recently, I've been feeling upset and confused. I always feel that there's something I don't understand, but I can't find out what the problem is. By chance, I met you by the Pearl River, and on a whim, I came up with a question to test you. I didn't expect that you would give me such a surprising answer. Fang Yan looked at the martial arts fanatic and said, Is this the reason you thank me? Because there's no solution, so there's no need for a solution. Because there's no answer, so there's no need for an answer. The martial arts fanatic laughed and said, This is what your little girlfriend told me. Your way of solving problems let me find a new way of thinking. Standing in your way of thinking and observing myself, I learn not to look. I don't look at mountains, water, or anything in the world. I don't look for it, I just chase it. In this way, sitting and observing myself, I understand myself better. The biggest enemy of mankind is themselves. It's just that too many people don't understand this. Fang Yan nodded with a smile and said, Congratulations. For a martial arts fanatic, the flash of inspiration and understanding of ideas were more joyful than the happy event of the wedding night or the passing of the exam. Fang Yan was also a martial artist, and he was also ecstatic when he realized the heart of Tai Chi when the heart of Tai Chi died. He was also sad and depressed, and it was difficult for him to face his family and himself. If someone could help him break through the heart of Tai Chi again, he would even be willing to marry. If the person was a beautiful woman. This is a big event in my life. So, I have to come here personally to thank you. I will remember this kindness for the time being, and I will return it in the future. You don't have to remember the kindness. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, at that time I just didn't want to trouble you, so I solved your fairy flowers. As for the enlightenment you gained from my way of solving problems, it's also your own experience and good fortune, and it has nothing to do with me. If you really want to thank me, just don't fight with me anymore. The martial arts fanatic looked at Fang Yan expectantly and said, the second purpose of this trip is to challenge you. You still want to fight? Fang Yan's face became bitter. I said last time I'm no match for you. No, you're the most talented young man I've ever seen. The martial arts fanatic said. If I don't fight with you to my heart's content, I won't be able to eat or sleep well, and my thoughts will be difficult again. In the end, I may regret it for the rest of my life. I don't want to fight, Fang Yan said. No one can refuse the opponent I choose. The martial arts fanatic said with a firm expression, or we can fight in this school. Fight now. Are you crazy? Fang Yan was furious. The school is full of students. If they see us fighting, do you want to tear this school down? Rosefinch Secondary was also Fang Yan's school, and he couldn't bear to see this martial arts fanatic go crazy and tear down a good school into a garbage dump. So, I'm willing to give you another choice. The martial arts fanatic said seriously. He took out a piece of white paper from his pocket and handed it to Fang Yan seriously, saying, this is my letter of challenge. In 3 days I'll wait for you at the top of One Sword Peak. I want to see how much you've improved compared to 3 years ago. Chapter 540. Fang Yan didn't take the paper from the martial addict and said, I already said I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight with you and I can't beat you. How can you be like this? I'm not related to you at all. What right do you have to force me? Don't you know you're being very annoying? The martial addict opened his mouth and laughed. His smile was neither warm nor pleasant, his eyes couldn't even be found. He spoke with a proud expression, I don't care if other people like it or not, that has nothing to do with me. I only want someone to fight with me. I like you, so you have to fight with me. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. I'm very busy, I won't go to the One Sword Peak, Fang Yan said firmly, not wanting to give him even the slightest bit of hope. I'm working right now, I can't chat with you anymore. Saying so, Fang Yan turned around and left. Fang Yan, Ho Zhendong shouted from behind. Fang Yan turned around to look at Ho Zhendong and asked, Senior martial addict, is there anything else? I saw you practicing Tai Chi just now, although it was unintentional, I still managed to see through it in advance, the martial addict smirked. If that's the case, the One Sword Peak tournament in 3 days will be very unfair to you. Boy, watch carefully. The martial addict Ho's eyes trembled a bit, then raised his right foot and stomped down. Pow! A dull sound was heard. The earth didn't give birth to lightning, the Rosefinch River didn't have any waves, not even dust was kicked up under his feet. The flowers were still flowers, the trees were still trees, the grass was still swaying, the green leaves were still swaying with the wind. It was as if nothing had happened, as if there were no supernatural phenomena like when a peerless master used his ultimate skill. But Fang Yan knew that things weren't that simple. The martial addict purposely told him to stop and watch carefully. If he only saw him stomp his foot, then he wouldn't be a martial addict but an idiot. The martial addict saw Fang Yan practicing Tai Chi just now. If he wanted to show his fairness, he would have to show his true abilities. Sure enough, Fang Yan's guess was correct. Whoosh! On a big tree next to Fang Yan, a leaf swayed and fell. Fang Yan stretched out his hand and let the leaf fall into his palm. The lush green leaves turned yellow and withered when they landed on Fang Yan's palm. At the same time that the leaves turned from green to yellow, the tree with thick branches also changed. First, the leaves fell off crazily as if they were swept away by a gale. Then, the originally sturdy tree branches also fell, as if an invisible giant axe was quickly chopping them off. Branches of different sizes fell to the ground, making crackling noises. Immediately after that, the trunk of the big tree also began to turn from green to yellow. After its vitality disappeared, the trunk burst open and fell to the ground with a boom, turning into a pile of wood waste. This scene was too fresh and too mysterious. Fang Yan watched helplessly as the first leaf fell. He watched helplessly as the branches broke. He watched helplessly as the big tree collapsed. It was as if he was watching a magnificent magic show, a wonderful magic trick. Hitting the cow across the mountain, Fang Yan murmured. When we read martial arts novels, we often see the move hitting the cow across the mountain. Because the name of the move had the word cow in it, many people mistakenly thought that the power of this move was ordinary. If it was a name like Nine Yang Divine Art or Heaven and Earth Great Shift, it would be obvious that it was the world's top kung fu. Shouldn't hitting the cow across the mountain be a skill that even the loafers in the neighboring village could use? You can't judge a book by its cover, and it was the same with kung fu. Even if it was understood from the literal meaning, being able to kill a cow across the mountain, this kind of kung fu could be called a miracle, right? Borrowing force to exert force, using 4 tails to move 1,000 taels of gold. This was already a profound kung fu in the inner Jianghu. If one could borrow force to transfer qi, it would be like how the physician King Qin Luo used a silver needle to perform the unpredictable divine Tai needle. That was also a beginner version of hitting the cow across the mountain. To be able to kill a tree 2 meters away from him with just a stomp of his foot like the martial fanatic did, this kind of hitting a cow across a mountain was no longer the hitting a cow across a mountain that the outside world knew about, but it was an upgraded version of their technique. If the target of his force just now was Fang Yan, what kind of consequences would there be? A real expert should have this kind of ability to turn something rotten into something magical. Using falling leaves as swords, using flying petals to hurt people, and even ordinary moves could bring out extraordinary power. The martial fanatic belonged to this kind of person, and this was also the reason why he was praised as Wuxia's 7 fanatics. Hitting the cow across the mountain. Oldwood meeting spring. The sea of martial arts was boundless, but the path of seeking Tao was firm and long. When Fang Yan woke up from his deep thoughts, the martial fanatic Hou Zhendong in front of him had already disappeared. On another tree hung a letter of challenge from the martial fanatic to Fang Yan. Fang Yan walked over and took down the letter of challenge. The calligraphy on it was extremely ugly. I heard that you are a young hero with great achievements in martial arts. I hope to have a duel with you. I will accompany you when you eat, I will watch over you when you sleep. I will follow you when you work, I will send you home. 3 days later, I will respectfully wait for you at the summit of One Sword Peak. Unknown but unknown. Fang Yan was dumbfounded. What kind of *T challenge is this? It's clearly a shameless threatening letter, okay? What does I will accompany you when you eat, I will accompany you when you sleep, I will watch over you when you work, I will follow you home. Isn't it just telling Fang Yan that if he doesn't duel with me, I will be like a follower around him so that he can't do anything or say anything? Fang Yan really felt a headache coming on. If there was a character like the martial fanatic following him all day, it would really be a troublesome thing. You can't drive him away, he won't scold him, and beating him up is exactly what he wants. How much red packet did the 7 fanatics of Wuxia receive from him? Why did they praise this kind of rogue to such a high position? Fang Yan rolled up the letter of challenge in his hand, and then with a flick of his finger, it flew into the water of the Rosefinch River. The paper was soaked by the river water and then slowly dispersed and sank to the bottom of the river. I won't fight. Fang Yan made up his mind. When Fang Yan crossed the Rosefinch Bridge and was about to return to the security office, he saw that there were 2 groups of students confronting each other in the woods by the Rosefinch River. Students are young and impetuous, and quarrels and fights are common. But because of the school's strict rules, the majority of students resolve their small conflicts outside of school. So, don't leave after school, or, see you in the school woods, has become a threat that the students often say. It's really rare to see 2 groups of people collide on campus, especially after Zhong Dei became the principal of the school. This kind of thing is extremely rare. One side only has 2 students, the other side has 5 or 6 students. It was obvious that the side with more people had surrounded the side with fewer people. Blocking people, this is also something that students often do. A tall boy stood in front of the group. His eyes fiercely stared at the boy wearing glasses in front of him and said, Li Xiaoqiao, I'm warning you, don't have any ideas about Wang Yan. She is the woman I like. Mature men intelligently call the woman they like, girl. Only those children who haven't grown up yet will call their boyfriend or girlfriend my man, or my woman. She is my girlfriend. Li Xiaoqiao retorted. Even though he knew that the other side has more people and his only teammate is still trembling and hiding behind him, but the young man's face and dignity made him not willing to back down. Just because you say it's your girlfriend, then it's your girlfriend? The tall boy, very dissatisfied, said, I also said she is my wife. Does that mean other men can't chase her? She has always been my girlfriend. Li Xiaoqiao's eyes were red, but his voice was still firm. She's not your girlfriend. She's just with you for the time being. The tall boy tried to argue. Today I came to find you to talk about this matter. Li Xiaoqiao, take the initiative to break up with Wang Yan. Why? Aren't you just asking nonsense? Didn't I just say it because I like her? The tall boy was clearly a bit impatient. Kid, is there something wrong with your head? I already said it so clearly, why are you still asking so many questions? Impossible. Li Xiaoqiao stubbornly said. The one Wang Yan likes is me. I also like Wang Yan. I will not break up with her. Li Xiaoqiao, there's no point in saying that, the tall boy said. We're all classmates, don't force me to hit you. If you hit me, I'll tell the teacher. If you tell the teacher, I'll hit you every time I see you. If you hit me even once, I'll tell the teacher, the school will expel you. You think the school is run by you? You can expel me just because you say so? Li Xiaoqiao, I have a lot of friends outside of the school. If they hit you, the school won't be able to find out that I sent people to hit you, right? Do you think anyone will believe you? Lu Yong, you're bullying people. So what if I'm bullying you? No one can be sure what kind of idiotic things you said or did when you were young. Fang Yan shook his head, walked out of the forest and spoke to the two groups of students. Both of you, come with me to the security office. Lu Yong didn't expect there to be someone else in the forest, looked at Fang Yan for a bit and asked, Who are you? I'm the security officer, Fang Yan. Fang Yan smiled and answered. Let's go, we'll go to the security office and solve your relationship problems together. Lu Yong hasn't seen Fang Yan before, so he asked his friends in a low voice, You've seen him before? I've seen him patrolling the school gate, a young fatso boy whispered. Lu Yong finally believed him, smiled at Fang Yan and said, We're just joking, there's no need to go to the security office, right? Right, we still have class by. Saying so, Lu Yong turned around wanting to run away. Fang Yan grabbed Lu Yong's neck and said, I think you're missing a love counselor. I happen to be quite good at this. Chapter 541. Security Office. Fang Yan looked at the student standing in front of him and said, Tell me, what's going on? Li Xiaoqiao glanced at Fang Yan and lowered his head without saying anything. Lu Yong said with a smile, Teacher, we were just joking. Is it Li Xiaoqiao? There were countless high school students who fell in love, but the school had a rule that forbade relationships. Regardless of whether it was Li Xiaoqiao who was in the right in this conflict or Lu Yong who was not in the right, they did not want their relationship to be known or involved by the school. It would be even worse if they were asked to go back and call their parents. Li Xiaoqiao didn't want to become Lu Yong's puppet, but he also didn't want the school's teachers or parents to know that he was in a relationship with his classmate, so he said in a deep voice, We were just joking. It's nothing. Fang Yan looked at Li Xiaoqiao and said, I know what you are worried about. But have you ever thought about it? If I pretend to believe that nothing happened between the two of you after you walk out of my place, he will once again bring people to block you and separate you from your girlfriend. Your girlfriend's name is Wang Yan? What will you do then? If he agreed, it would seem that he was too irresponsible and spineless. If he refused, he and his friends might beat him up. Are you willing to accept such an outcome? Teacher, Lu Yong still wanted to explain. Fang Yan looked at him sharply and said, Lu Yong, I saw it all. Are you going to lie to my face? Li Xiaoqiao hesitated for a long time, then finally said, I'm in love with Class 9's Wang Yan. He forced me and Wang Yan to separate. Li Xiaoqiao, you idiot. Lu Yong cursed. If I die, you won't be able to escape either. Fang Yan looked at Lu Yong and asked, Is that so? Lu Yong and Fang Yan looked at each other for a while before saying helplessly, Yes. Fang Yan nodded and asked, Why did you separate Li Xiaoqiao from his girlfriend? Because I like Wang Yan. Because you like Wang Yan, you want to separate Li Xiaochao and Wang Yan? Fang Yan asked. Young people's views on love were so simple and direct. Because I like this person, so you can't be with this person. Because you like a dress, somebody else has to take it off. Because you like a sports car, others have to give up their sports cars. Because you like this earth, others have to move to Mars. Is that it? That's different, Lu Yong argued. Which aspect is different? Clothes are clothes, sports cars are sports cars, they're different from girlfriends. You mean I can't give you the clothes or the sports car, but I can give you the girlfriend? From what you know, you can't even give up clothes and sports cars. Why do you think you can give up your girlfriend? That's not what I meant. I don't think I can sell my girlfriend. Then what did you do to Li Xiaochao mean? I just feel that Wang Yan and I are more suited for each other. What if after Wang Yan gets together with you, someone feels that he and Wang Yan are more suitable and wants you to break up with her? I fought him with all my might. Look, if you can't do it yourself, how can you expect someone else to do it? Fang Yan asked with a smile. Lu Yong looked at Li Xiaochao and said with an embarrassed expression, "This is my fault. Li Xiaochao, I'm sorry." Li Xiaochao didn't expect Lu Yong to apologize to him. Slightly surprised, he smiled and said, "It's fine. It's all in the past anyway." Fang Yan looked at Lu Yong and asked, "Have you given up yet?" Lu Yong looked at Fang Yan with a strange expression and said, "Teacher, don't teachers forbid students from dating? How did I openly discuss this issue with you guys?" "That's right," Lu Yong nodded. "If other teachers find out who's in a relationship, they'll either pull you to the office to scold you or ask you to write a self-reflection letter. Is it useful?" Fang Yan asked. "What? If a teacher pulls you to the office to scold you, ask you to write a self-reflection letter or ask your parents to come, can you guarantee that you won't be in a relationship again?" "I don't think so." Lu Yong's face turned red and said, "This kind of thing, how can it be broken just like that? Isn't it too embarrassing?" "Then what do you think now?" "I think it's wrong to separate Li Xiaochao from his girlfriend. I will compete fairly with him in the future," Lu Yong said. Fang Yan nodded and said, "You can go back to class." Lu Yong looked at Fang Yan with a puzzled face and said, "Can I really go? You still want to stay?" No. Lu Yong waved his hand and said, "You won't tell our monitor about this, will you?" "Who's your monitor?" It's okay. Lu Yong hurriedly led his friends to escape. Lu Yong felt that it was too strange. Didn't the security guards like to tell things to the class teacher? How come this security guard didn't say a word and let me go back to class as if nothing happened? After Lu Yong left, Fang Yan glanced at the student standing next to Li Xiaochao and said, "You also go back to class." "Thank you, teacher." The boy was relieved. He bowed to Fang Yan and then ran away without looking back. At this time there were only two people in the security room, Fang Yan and Li Xiaochao. "How does it feel to be in love?" Fang Yan looked at Li Xiaochao and asked. "Teacher." Li Xiaochao's expression was coy. He was not used to talking about love affairs with his teacher. "Every day I have to make several phone calls, send countless messages every day and frequently pass small notes in class. I want to buy delicious food for her, I want to bring her to a good cafe, I want to be with her all the time. I can't help but want to smile when I think of her, I feel very sweet." Li Xiaochao looked at Fang Yan with his mouth wide open. "How does this guy know everything?" "I've also had the same experience," Fang Yan said with a smile. When he fell in love with Phoenix, it was the same feeling. He wanted to give her the best things in the world as long as she gave him a smile. Li Xiaochao was relieved. He blushed and said, "I don't know what happened, I just liked her all of a sudden. I know this isn't good, but I don't know what to do about it." "Why do you think this isn't good?" Fang Yan asked. Li Xiaochao was stunned for a while, then said, "The school forbids love. The teacher also said it would affect our studies. Do you think it's affecting your studies?" "No." Li Xiaochao said, "Every time I take an exam I've always been first in class, in the past and the future." "What about Wang Yan?" "Her academic performance has never been very good. If your love doesn't affect your studies, not only does it not affect you, but you can also encourage each other and improve together. Would the teacher still use this reason to stop you?" Li Xiaochao blankly looked at Fang Yan and said, "Teacher, what do you mean?" Fang Yan smiled and said, "Actually, I don't mean anything. You're no longer a child, you already have your own thoughts. If we tell you what you must do or what you can't do, you'll have a rebellious mentality instead. I just want to tell you that you have to think carefully before you do anything. If you feel that what you're doing is right, that it's beneficial to your life and future, then seriously don't let them down. Don't let others down, and especially don't let yourself down. Li Xiaoqiao thoughtfully looked at Fang Yan. I don't expect you to understand in an instant, but you still have a lot of time to think about it. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, go back to class. Li Xiaoqiao bowed deeply to Fang Yan and said, thank you, teacher, I understand what I should do. When Fang Yan came out of the office, he just happened to see Baldy running in from outside. Baldy glanced inside the office and said, where are those bastards? What bastards? Fang Yan asked. They said you brought a group of students to the office. Did those bastards get into a fight again? Baldy asked with concern. Is everything okay? Nothing, Fang Yan said. I asked them to investigate something and they've already gone back to class. That's good. Baldy was relieved. I'm just afraid of the students fighting. They're all hot-tempered kids, they won't hold back even the slightest bit. By the way, are you okay today? What's wrong? Fang Yan looked at Baldy cautiously and asked. It's nothing, it's just that someone wants to see you. Who? Fang Yan thought for a bit and asked, is it Su Qi? I've talked to that girl before and I think she's not bad, Baldy, but I've already told her very clearly that Mr. Fang already has a girlfriend, and that she shouldn't have any delusions and that she should study hard and improve every day, make herself better so that she can find a better partner in the future. Fang Yan smiled and said, just do your job. My job is to ensure the safety of the students and teachers in the school, Baldy said. Not just personal safety but also emotional safety. Fang Yan felt that Baldy had the potential to become a philosopher. Mr. Fang, let's go eat hot pot after work? Baldy pulled Fang Yan's arm and said, we'll go Dutch. I won't take advantage of you. After work, Fang Yan drove back and found a black Mercedes-Benz following him. Fang Yan turned the car to the side of Swan Lake, and the black Mercedes-Benz followed. The car window rolled down and a woman with delicate features looked at Fang Yan and said, Fang Yan, buy me a drink. Chapter 542. The Mercedes-Benz and BMW were very close to each other, so Fang Yan was not far from the woman. Fang Yan looked at this woman who was definitely not supposed to appear here and say such words to him with a puzzled expression. He asked, did you find the wrong person? I'm not looking for the wrong person. The person I am looking for is you. Fang Yan. Jiang Shangxin confirmed her stance once again as she looked into Fang Yan's eyes with an extremely determined gaze. Treat me to a drink. Why? Fang Yan asked. Why me? Fang Yan felt that this woman was too weird. Why him? She was the daughter of the Jiang family. If she wanted to drink, she should look for someone from the Jiang family. Jiang Junling or someone else from the Jiang family. She was Jiang Zhuliu's woman. If she wanted to drink, she should look for her husband Jiang Zhulu, or someone else who was close to her. Why him? Wasn't she clear enough? She was the thorn in Jiang Junling's side, the thorn in Jiang Zhuliu's flesh, and the mortal enemy of the Jiang family and the Jiang family. If Fang Yan's guess was right, they would push the blame for the tragic deaths of Feng Xing and Shangxin's father on him. Why did she ask the enemy who killed her father to treat her to a drink? Fang Yan's first reaction was that this was a conspiracy, a trap and a honey trap. Fang Yan scoffed at this behavior. Who did they think he was? Was he the kind of man who would be easily tempted by beauty? He looked at Jiang Shangxin's pretty face seriously. As he was taller than Jiang Shangxin and his eyes were very bright, he was able to see the large patch of snow white at the collar of Jiang Shangxin's white satin shirt. Gulp. Gulp. Fang Yan swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva and felt a little thirsty. Because I couldn't find anyone else, Jiang Shangxin said. Her expression was gloomy and her voice was low. She looked like a pitiful child who had been wronged but couldn't voice it out. Fang Yan had not expected her to give such an answer. Based on her understanding of Jiang Shangxin, she was a very proud girl. To make a proud person admit that he wanted to drink but couldn't find anyone else. It seemed that this was indeed a well-designed honey trap. Fang Yan was too angry. He didn't expect his opponent to be so insidious and cunning. He actually used such a despicable and wretched method. Who did they think they were? Fang Yan decided to challenge his weakness. As such, Fang Yan looked at Jiang Shangxin and said, I'm fine with tea but I'm not familiar with bars. Follow me, Jiang Shangxin said. As she spoke, she had already rolled up the window. Then he started the car and led the way. Fang Yan's fingers tapped on the steering wheel, and his body softly leaned against the leather seat. With a faint smile on his face, he said, How interesting. Seeing that the black Mercedes-Benz was about to leave his sight, Fang Yan stepped on the accelerator, and the car rushed toward the Mercedes-Benz in front like a stallion in heat. The King Bar. Jiang Shangxin parked the car at the entrance of the bar and stood there, waiting for Fang Yan to arrive. Fang Yan parked the car. Just as he got out of the car, Jiang Shangxin took the initiative to hug his arm. A strong fragrance wafted over. It was a very seductive perfume that Jiang Shangxin used. Fang Yan's sense of smell was very sensitive. He knew that this was not just a simple perfume, but also the natural body fragrance of a mature woman. When the two fragrances mixed together, it gave one an impulse to let one's imagination run wild. Furthermore, Jiang Shangxin was wearing a mid-sleeved shirt. When she hugged Fang Yan, a small part of her arm was in close contact with Fang Yan's body. When they were walking, their bodies would touch from time to time. As long as Fang Yan exerted a little force, he would be able to knead her into his body. Such a charming little beauty took the initiative to approach him without any precaution. Even if Fang Yan had the ability to remain calm and composed, he still felt a sense of defeat. He was afraid that he would accidentally turn into a big bad wolf and eat the little white rabbit in front of him. What was worse was that this woman was Jiang Zhuyo's wife. Damn it, why did he feel so crazy and excited when he thought of this? Fang Yan dodged to the side and said, Isn't this a little inappropriate? Everyone is like this. Jiang Shangxin held Fang Yan's arm and walked straight into the bar, not caring about Fang Yan's feelings at all. You didn't approach me on purpose to get Jiang Zhulu to catch you in the act, right? Fang Yan asked worriedly. A sarcastic smile appeared on Jiang Shangxin's face and she said, Fang Yan, you don't have to test him anymore. Given Jiang Zhuyu's character, he would pretend not to know even if he knew that I rolled around in bed with another man. What's the point of catching him in the act? Exposing his wife's affair with another man and letting more people know about it, then losing his dignity. Do you think Jiang Zhulu would do such a stupid thing? Fang Yan thought about it and said, Indeed he wouldn't. This doesn't fit his style. Would you? Jiang Shangxin asked. My wife wouldn't betray me. Fang Yan said. You're really confident. Whoever snatches a good husband like me would cover their mouth and secretly laugh. Every 1st and 15th day of the lunar month, they would offer more incense to Guanyin Bodhisattva. It was still early and there weren't many people in the bar. American rock music was playing in the bar, but it wasn't as violent and crazy as it was during the climax of the night. Fang Yan thought that Jiang Shangxin would bring him to the lobby of the bar or find a seat at the bar counter. Unexpectedly, Jiang Shangxin didn't enter the interior of the bar, but directly entered a passage at the side. There was an elevator at the end of the passage and there were 2 bodyguards in black waiting at the door. When the 2 of them walked over, the bodyguards in black looked at them warily. Jiang Shangxin took out a black card from her pocket, and the bodyguard in black bowed deeply when he saw it. The other bodyguard immediately turned around and pressed the elevator button, and the door of the elevator opened to them very quickly. While Fang Yan was still thinking about where the elevator was going to take them, Jiang Shangxin had already pulled Fang Yan's arm into the elevator. Fang Yan's foot stepped on the elevator and the door couldn't close, so it sounded an alarm. Jiang Shangxin turned around and looked at Fang Yan. With a flirtatious smile in her eyes, she said, Are you afraid? Where did? Fang Yan, I thought you're not afraid of anything. I am afraid of death. Fang Yan said. Jiang Shangxin chuckled and said, I am afraid of death too, so I asked you to buy me a drink. Don't worry, I can't eat you up. Fang Yan looked at Jiang Shangxin's eyes, and there was a trace of sadness that couldn't be hidden. Fang Yan finally retracted his foot. The door of the elevator closed and slowly descended. Clang. When the door of the elevator opened again, a deafening noise and rolling heat waves rushed toward them. Fang Yan was stunned for a moment and then he understood what kind of place this was. The underground boxing arena was also known as the underground boxing market. In order to attract customers, Some bars would hire some boxing experts to come over and fight. Every punch hit the flesh and the blood was boiling. In the process of killing and fighting, countless spectators screamed crazily, releasing the fatigue in their bodies and the hostility in their hearts to their heart's content. This was indeed a very good place. A place that was very suitable for Jiang Shangxin at this moment. It was also a place that was very suitable for Fang Yan at this moment. Although Fang Yan didn't like the murky air in the underground bar, he liked the passion and heat that collided with each other. He suddenly wanted to drink a large glass of cold beer that emitted the aroma of malt. He gulped it down in one go, causing goosebumps to rise all over his body, causing every pore on his body to stand on end. Jiang Shangxin brought Fang Yan to a tea stage at the side of the boxing arena and shouted at the waiter who was walking over, 2 bottles of beer. Fang Yan took a look at Jiang Shangxin and grinned. Sometimes this woman was quite understanding. The waiter quickly served the beer and there was a large glass filled with golden liquid. As it was filled to the brim, the foam of the beer was flowing out. Before he even tasted it, the aroma of wheat wafted over. Jiang Shangxin picked up a glass of cold beer and raised it to Fang Yan. She said, "Come Fang Yan, let me give you a toast. Thank you for treating me to this drink." Fang Yan smiled bitterly and said, "It seems more like you are treating me to this drink. This is my first time coming to this place and they didn't seem to collect money from us just now. In that case, thank you for drinking with me." Jiang Shangxin said. No matter what the reason was, she had already raised the glass and started gulping down the beer as she spoke. Her cheeks were exquisite and her neck was slender. Women who came from wealthy families had a noble aura and elegant behavior. When she gulped down the beer like a man, the alcohol flowed out from the corner of her mouth, giving off a bold and sexy vibe. Jiang Shangxin drank half of the glass in one go, then she looked at Fang Yan and said, "Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking?" Fang Yan picked up the glass and took a sip. He said, "I feel that this matter is a little weird." "What's weird?" "The two of us shouldn't sit together and drink." Fang Yan said. "I mean, we have different standpoints." "What are our different standpoints?" Jiang Shangxin interrupted Fang Yan's words. She stared at Fang Yan with a sharp gaze and said, "Do I have the same standpoints as Jiang Junling? Do I have the same standpoints as Jiang Zhulu? Do you think that I should look for them to drink together?" Fang Yan thought about it, raised his glass and said, "Let me give you a toast." "Toast me for what?" "To your compromise." Fang Yan said. Chapter 543. To your grievances. To your anger and indignation. To your loneliness and helplessness. And to your strength and bravery. Jiang Shangxin had been holding it in for the past few days. She felt that she was about to explode. She was like a vacuum-packed fish. She breathed with all her might and struggled over and over again. In the end, she could only spit out bubbles helplessly. Her body was getting weaker and weaker and her consciousness was getting more and more blurry. She was going to die. She knew that she was going to die if she didn't do something. What kind of woman am I? Jiang Shangxin gulped down a big mouthful of wine and slammed the table in front of her. She looked at Fang Yan who was sitting opposite her and shouted, "I am a woman from the Jiang family." "Who is the Jiang family?" "The Jiang family is the Jiang family. It is the Jiang family that everyone envies and fears. As long as you are a member of the Jiang family, you will definitely be the target of everyone's envy and fear. No matter how pretty or ugly you are, no matter how high your IQ is, you are at the top of society. Don't believe the nonsense that there is no hierarchy in this world. Those people who are high up in the hierarchy have terrifying connections and influence. They don't even need to do anything. They only need to frown or signal with their eyes, and those small characters who offend them will die without a burial place." Jiang Shangxin glanced at Fang Yan from the corner of her eyes and said, "Jiang Junling. Jiang Junling doesn't like you very much. Originally he thought that he only needed to use his eyes to signal someone to get rid of you, but he didn't expect you to be like a cockroach that can't be killed. Your vitality is quite tenacious and you make him suffer again and again, making him lose face again and again. Evil will never win over good," Fang Yan said with a serious look. "I stand on the side of good, so he can't win over me." Jiang Shangxin laughed maniacally. She laughed so hard that she was swaying back and forth. She laughed so hard that her voluptuous chest swayed a few times, as if it was about to break through the cage of her shirt and appear right in front of Fang Yan. She pointed at Fang Yan with her finger that was smeared black and said in an extremely disdainful tone, "Fang Yan, what you said is nonsense. Do you believe in such nonsense? How many good people in the world have been wrongfully killed? At that time, why didn't anyone tell them that evil would never prevail over good? This was a society where strength was respected. Whoever has the bigger fist has the right to speak loudly." Shifting Xianxia's arm to the side, he pointed at the two boxers who were engaged in an intense battle in the arena and said, "Look at them, who is evil and who is righteous? Would the side of justice be able to defeat the side of evil?" The only difference is that they are risking their lives on the stage while countless people are risking their lives off the stage. Fang Yan smiled and said, "You have your own ideas and I have my own insistence. Our lifestyles are different. Living in that kind of environment, all you see and think about are those powerful people, those influential people who use all kinds of methods to obtain victory after victory. I live in a small village. Except for a few people I don't like, most of the people there are kind-hearted. They don't hesitate to shed blood for something that seems silly to outsiders. It has been passed down from generation to generation and has lasted for thousands of years. When I was young, I had always been thinking about how such a tribe could exist in this world. Until now, I still haven't figured out the answer to this question. Why does such a tribe exist? However, since it already exists, then there should be a reason for it to exist. What's worse is that I'm willing to die for it. I respect and admire those wise sages who have sacrificed themselves and those seniors who have sacrificed themselves. I wonder what kind of choice I would make if it were to be my turn one day. I didn't even think for too long before I got the answer in my heart. If it were to be my turn one day, I would make the same choice as them. My ancestors made such a choice, my great-grandfather made such a choice, my father and uncles made such a choice. How can it be broken when it comes to my generation? We have a custom where we come from. Whenever a descendant of a family dies in battle, the whole village will hang up a white banner. It doesn't matter if there were any disputes, quarrels, or who knocked out someone's front teeth or who broke someone's arm. On that day, all grudges will be put down and the deceased will be the most important. To me, these people are all righteous. They aren't even afraid of death, so why would they be afraid of the temporary dark clouds that cover the sun? Xianxia didn't expect Fang Yan to say such things to her. After being in a daze for a while, she asked, "The place that you are talking about is Swallow Dock?" "That's right." Fang Yan nodded. "General, get off the horse, Prime Minister. Swallow Dock. If there's a chance, I must go and take a look," Xianxia said with infinite longing. "Because of you, I know of such a place and its various legends. But I always feel that those legends are too far away and those stories are too old. I feel that everything is exaggerated and made up. So, such a group of people really exist. Remember to park your car at the threshing ground at the entrance of the village." Fang Yan smiled and said, "Other than the cars of our own people in the village, all the cars that go to other places will be parked there." "Remember," Xianxia said, "are you sending me an invitation?" "If I go to Swallow Dock, you'll entertain me, right?" Fang Yan smiled and asked, "Now, do you believe that evil will never prevail over good?" Xianxia shook her head and said, "I don't believe it. Just like what you said before, I've seen too many good people being purged and buried. This is a cannibalistic society and some people will really open their bloody mouths to eat people. Just like you come from such a magical place. Do you have the confidence to defeat Jiang Junling? Even if you defeat Jiang Junling, there's still the powerful Jiang family behind him. Fang Yan, you might not understand, but you're only fighting against Jiang Junling now. To Jiang Junling you're an opponent, but to the Jiang family you're just a piece of stone to sharpen their blades. Either the knife is sharpened by the stone or the stone cuts a hole in the knife. At most they'll just change to another knife and continue to sharpen it. But have you ever thought that when the stone, cut off one knife after another from the Jiang family, when you make the Jiang family feel threatened, they'll come at you in full force. The sky will fall, the earth will crack, and the rivers will flow in reverse. At that time, will you still be able to withstand it? I know that the Jiang family order is the knife of the Jiang family, and I also know that the Jiang family is very powerful and makes people feel helpless." Fang Yan played with the tall beer mug in his hand and said, "But I can't just let them bully me without saying anything or doing anything, right? If that's the case, I'll become another good person being purged and buried by the bad guys. Fang Yan looked at Jiang Xianxin and said, I know that your heart is filled with anger, and I can completely understand how you're feeling right now. You can't understand. Jiang Xianxin sneered. People who haven't experienced it shouldn't easily say that they can understand others. To a patient with cancer, don't tell him that you're as sad as him. You can't possibly be as sad as him, you're just saying it. When you walk out of the ward, you'll be able to see the blue sky and white clouds, you'll be able to breathe in fresh air, and you'll be able to continue your rich and colorful life. The patient, on the other hand, can only bid farewell to this world in fear and reluctance. Fang Yan was speechless. Look, not only were these women from wealthy families noble and elegant, even their words were so sharp and full of philosophy. Fang Yan, you said that I shouldn't look for you for a drink. Then tell me, who should I look for a drink? Look for my brother Jiang Junling? Look for my husband Jiang Zhulu? Or should I look for my best friends who either follow the Jiang family's power or are afraid of the Jiang family's power? Can I tell them that my brother asked my husband to poison my father to death? Can I tell them that I hate them to the core, yet I still have to force a smile and pretend that nothing happened and that I don't know anything? There was a type of grievance that couldn't be vented. Your heart was bleeding, yet you still had to smile and chat with the people who stabbed you. Who could understand such pain? Jiang Xianxin picked up the beer mug in front of her and gulped it down. She shouted, Waiter, give me another 2 bottles of beer. Fang Yan stopped her and said, You can't drink anymore, you've already drunk too much. This was the 4th beer that Fang Yan and Jiang Xianxin had drunk. 4 1-liter bottles of draft beer was nothing to Fang Yan, but it was obviously too much for a girl. Furthermore, if Xianxin got drunk, Fang Yan would have to be responsible for sending her back later. Who would want to do such a troublesome thing? She wasn't his wife anyway. No way. I still want to drink. Jiang Xianxin was unhappy and said, You're not willing to treat me to a drink? We're only at the beginning. I've only just started and you're not letting me drink anymore. This feeling of not being able to go up or down. Do you know how uncomfortable it is? Fang Yan, do you know that I'm going to die soon? Fang Yan was helpless. He waved at the waiter and said, Give me 2 more mugs of draft beer. As he spoke, he picked up the half-empty mug of beer in his hand and gulped it down. His principle was to drink a mug of beer with Jiang Xianxin. He wouldn't be at a disadvantage or take advantage of her. He wasn't an old drunkard who would fight for a drink with others. Fang Yan wanted to drink another mug of beer when he thought of the old drunkard. The waiter brought 2 1-liter bottles of beer over again. The sexy waitress in the bunny costume winked at Fang Yan when Jiang Xianxin wasn't paying attention. Perhaps she thought that Fang Yan, who had bought 8 mugs of draft beer in a row, was a big customer. Jiang Xianxin snatched a mug of beer from Jiang Xianxin and raised it to Fang Yan. Come, a toast to my enemy who killed my father. Fang Yan had the urge to run away. Chapter 544. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. No, for more bottles of beer. Jiang Xianxin entered a drinking state as if tomorrow was the end of the world. At this moment she was possessed by the old drunkard Yi Rou, Li Xiaotian, Zhu Xian, and even Fang Yan almost possessed her. She drank 2 glasses after another and drank 1 glass after another. She drank more and more alcohol, but the speed at which she drank was getting faster and faster. She really wanted to get drunk. She really wanted to get drunk. After Fang Yan tried to persuade him several times but to no avail, he decided not to stop him anymore. If she drank 1 glass, he would drink 1 glass with her. If she drank 2 glasses, Fang Yan would drink 2 glasses with her. If it really didn't work, he would suffer some losses and send her back when she was drunk. Fang Yan, Jiang Xianxin's body was sprawled on the runway. If it wasn't for the support of the runway, she would have lost her balance. She looked at Fang Yan with her beautiful eyes and said, Do you think that I'm ridiculous? Do you think that I, Jiang Xianxin, am an idiot? I also think that I'm ridiculous and I know that I'm an idiot. But I have to find someone to talk to and drink with. Don't you think it's weird? When Jiang Zhulu slapped me, I wasn't angry. I wasn't angry at all. I thought it was natural. I thought he should do something like that. At that time he pressed me down on the sofa. Thought of you. I thought I must find a chance to drink with you. Why did I look for you? Jiang Shangxin reached out to play with her long hair so that it wouldn't block her vision. This action was very charming and was full of the temptation of a mature woman. I don't know either. I thought of everyone around me, but you were the only one I could think of drinking with. At least you wouldn't betray me. At least when I scolded Jiang Junling and Jiang Zhulu, you wouldn't turn around and repeat every single word I said to them. Isn't it very funny? I, Jiang Shangxin, have lived for so long, yet I can only trust my enemy. We are not enemies, Fang Yan said. Yes. We're not enemies. We're victims. You are a victim and so am I. As Jiang Shangxin spoke, she reached out to hug Fang Yan's neck. Fang Yan's body leaned back slightly and her body fell forward. Fang Yan hurriedly pushed forward and hugged her. She threw Shangxin into Fang Yan's arms and lifted her pretty face to look at Fang Yan. Why did you hide? Do you think I'm wrong? Or do you think I'm a shameless woman? I didn't mean that. I just thought. Just as Fang Yan was thinking of a reason to explain himself, Jiang Shangxin had already pushed him away and was staggering toward the arena in the middle of the bar. In the arena, two men were fighting fiercely. They were wearing white wrestling pants and had a red and black belt on their waists. The man with the red belt was tall and strong and his punches were fierce. The man with the black belt was short, but his movements were unusually agile. Both of them used their own unique moves and unique skills. Every time their fists collided with flesh, the spectators would erupt into cheers like a tsunami. Fang Yan couldn't understand why these people were so obsessed with this game. It was still so early, but there were already so many spectators gathered here. What Fang Yan didn't know was that this underground boxing arena opened for business in the afternoon. Some bars arranged fights for their customers, but most of them were underground boxing experts who wanted to earn a high prize. There were also some dojos or martial arts groups that specially selected their own seeded fighters and sent them over. Not only was it for training, but it was also to earn a considerable amount of prize money after winning every match. For many martial artists who loved martial arts, their lives were quite poor. With Fang Yan's vision, he knew that the final winner would definitely be the man with the red belt. This fighter's punches were steady and he knew when to advance and retreat. Although most of his attacks were dodged by his opponent, he was like a gorilla being played by a cunning monkey. However, when did you ever see a monkey beat a gorilla? The skinny player with the black belt was the monkey. He jumped up and down, rushing left and right. It seemed that he had the upper hand and the gorilla was completely subdued. However, he had a fatal problem. His foundation was not stable and his punches were weak. Although there was a saying that speed was the only thing that could not be broken in the world of martial arts. If your speed was not fast enough to pull away from others, then in the end, it still depended on the ingenuity of your strength. On this point, the monkey had no advantage. Sure enough, the gorilla faked and fell forward. When the monkey took the opportunity to sneak attack from behind, the gorilla's body turned 180 degrees, ignoring the monkey's dodge and fancy counterattack, and punched him in the cheek. Bang! The monkey screamed miserably. His body flew out and fell heavily on the floor not far away. Someone ran over and dragged the monkey away. More people cheered and applauded the gorilla on the stage. The gorilla waved his arms and shouted to the audience, "Who else? Who else? Who else dares to come up and challenge me? I am the best in the world, I am the best in the world." The audience applauded even more enthusiastically. Many people liked the domineering CEO demeanor of, "I am the best in the world, and you can't get rid of me even if you don't like me." To them, this was a man's fierce. Too arrogant. Jiang Shangxin raised the beer mug in her hand and smashed it toward the gorilla on the arena. Bam! The beer mug smashed onto the stage floor and shattered. The sound of it shattering was not loud enough, but it was enough to attract everyone's attention. The audience stared at the transparent flying object that suddenly fell on the arena in astonishment. They did not know what had happened. The gorilla stared blankly at the glass mug that had fallen at his feet. After a few seconds, he was completely enraged. He bared his fangs and roared at the audience, "Who is it? Which bastard threw something and sneaked an attack on me? If you are so capable, come up and fight with me, I will tear you into two." When Fang Yan saw that Jiang Shangxin had caused trouble, he hurried forward and dragged her away from the scene. This woman's alcohol tolerance was really bad. How could she do anything? "Don't pull me." Jiang Shangxin pushed Fang Yan's hand away and shouted toward the stage, "You gorilla, gorilla? Fang Yan was stunned. He only felt that this contestant looked like a gorilla. Why did Xianxia call him a gorilla? Could this be his stage name? After Xianxia had drunk too much alcohol, she let out a drunken burp and continued to shout. What is there to be proud of? With your mediocre skills, you're not even worthy of carrying my boyfriend's shoes. Fang Yan looked around and asked in a low voice, Who is your boyfriend? Is he here? If Jiang Shangxin's boyfriend was here, Fang Yan could throw this woman to him and go home to sleep. However, after Jiang Shangxin shouted this sentence, everyone's attention shifted to Fang Yan. When the gorilla was called a gorilla in public, he wanted to tear this beautiful woman into pieces. He could not bear to tear Jiang Shangxin into pieces, so he accumulated his hatred on Fang Yan. He wanted to tear Fang Yan into pieces so that no one would feel heartache. As for why he wanted to tear Fang Yan into pieces, who cared? He pointed at Fang Yan and shouted, Gigolo, come up here. Fang Yan rejected him and smiled awkwardly. Don't misunderstand, I am not her boyfriend. My friend drank too much, I will bring her back first. After that he ignored Jiang Shangxin's struggle and dragged her out of the bar. Coward, someone in the audience shouted. Gigolo, fight with him, beat him to death. The girl will belong to whoever wins. Jiang Shangxin turned around and shouted at the gorilla on the stage. If you can beat my boyfriend, I will sleep with you for a night. Fang Yan hurriedly reached out to cover Jiang Shangxin's mouth, but it was too late. I will sleep with you for a night. This sentence was not very tempting when it came from the mouth of Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan. However, it was too lethal when it came from the mouth of such a beautiful woman like Jiang Shangxin. The gorilla swallowed his saliva and felt his blood boiling. He shouted at the audience, Everyone here be my witness. Today I, Chindatri, will bring the beauty home and enjoy myself. Seeing that Fang Yan was dragging Jiang Shangxin toward the elevator, Chindatri panicked and shouted, Gigolo, don't you dare run away. With a flick of his foot he scooped up the glass shards in front of him and threw them toward Fang Yan's back. A strong gust of wind blew behind him, but Fang Yan spun Jiang Shangxin 90 degrees without looking back. Crack, crack. The glass shards hit the sturdy wall and turned into even finer shards. Chindatri was even more excited when he saw that Fang Yan had dodged his attack. He shouted at Fang Yan, Gigolo, you are good at dodging, but I don't know how good you are at fighting. Come, let Grandpa give you a few punches. If you can beat me, you can take the woman and the prize. If you lose, I'm afraid that your life will be over. Those who were watching the show shouted at the gorilla, Beat him to death, beat him to death. Jiang Shangxin, who was lying in Fang Yan's arms, had no intention of going back on her words. He gave the gorilla a thumbs up. The gorilla opened its mouth and laughed, but as it laughed, the smile on its face froze. This was because Jiang Shangxin had turned her thumb upside down in front of the gorilla. Humiliation. This was another humiliation. Then she used 2 fingers as a gun and aimed at the gorilla's head. Bang. You are dead. Jiang Shangxin said to the gorilla. Chapter 545. The gorilla couldn't hear what Jiang Shangxin was saying because he was quite a distance away. However, he saw Jiang Shangxin giving him a thumbs up and shooting him in the head. He saw her moving her red lips. With the gorilla's extraordinary intelligence, he knew that Jiang Shangxin wasn't saying anything nice. He felt insulted and looked down upon. Furthermore, he was being looked down upon by a beautiful woman whom he had never had the chance to interact with before. He was already a little proud and arrogant after winning the battle. Moreover, he was insulted in such a manner, causing his rage points to rise to the highest point. The gorilla roared into the sky, pointed at Fang Yan and shouted, If I don't tear you into pieces today, I, the gorilla, Chindatri, will write my name backwards. Lad, come up and fight with me if you are a man. What would a gorilla's name be written backwards? Gorilla, gorilla? However, Fang Yan felt extremely depressed and aggrieved. Others were the ones who called him a gorilla, not him. I only called him that in my heart. Shangxin was the one who had provoked him, but he hadn't even said a single word. Why didn't you look for the person in question? Why did you have to tear him into pieces? I don't want to fight, Fang Yan said. He dragged Jiang Shangxin and prepared to leave this place. He didn't provoke anyone. Why did he want to fight with someone? It would be fine if it was a suitable opponent, but who would want to fight with a gorilla? Was there a need to prove his intelligence by solving a math problem for elementary school students? Fang Yen pressed the elevator button and waited for the doors to open. Coward, you are really a coward. Ha, a gigolo will always be a gigolo, nice to look at but useless. Chindatri, we support you. That girl is yours. Chindatri was also anxious. He jumped down from the arena and shouted at Fang Yen, Gigolo, you can leave if you want, but leave that woman here. In Chindatri's opinion, this woman was already a beauty in his bed. Didn't she say it just now? As long as he won, her boyfriend would sleep with him for a night. As long as that gigolo agreed, he would be able to KO him in a second. Of course, even if he didn't agree, he could KO him in a second. In his opinion, Fang Yen wanting to escape was a coward. Regardless of whether he was afraid or not, Chindatri was determined to knock down a man and snatch a woman away. That was how capricious he was when he knew how to fight. Chindatri stood in front of Fang Yen, stretched out his hand and said, Give her to me. Fang Yen hesitated and asked, Do you really want it? Chindatri chuckled and said, Aren't you talking nonsense? I, Chindatri, have never played with such a beautiful woman in my entire life. Gee, look at this face, look at this skin, look at this body. I can't give it to you. Fang Yen shook his head and said, She drank too much and is no longer conscious. It doesn't seem right to hand her over at this time. Brat, do you believe that I can tear you to pieces in a second? Why is it this line again? Fang Yen was really a little angry. If you are so capable, why don't you tear Xianxia into pieces? If you are so capable, come and do it. Let's see if the Jiang family will grind you into minced meat. Let's see if Jiang Zhulu will make your entire family die without a burial place. You only pick on the weak and bully the honest. You really have no morals at all. Bastard. What are you talking about? Chindatri sneered. Who is the Jiang family? Who is Jiang Zhulu? Let them come and find me and watch me tear them to pieces. Why don't you ask around? Who have I, Chindatri, ever been afraid of? Chindatri had never heard of the Jiang family, nor did he know who Jiang Zhulu was. Another two gigolos? The arrogant were afraid of the foolish, and the foolish were afraid of the reckless. Fang Yen really did not know how to deal with such reckless idiots. Give her to me. Chindatri shouted at Fang Yen again. I really can't give her to you. Fang Yen rejected him. You can do whatever you want when she's sober. But she's drunk now. I have the responsibility to protect her safety. Then don't blame me for being rude. As Chindatri spoke, he threw a punch at Fang Yan's face. His upper body was naked, revealing his firm and bulging muscles. Because his face and chest were injured during the fight just now, there were also patches of purplish-red bruises on his body. These injuries were not serious, but they made him look even more powerful and ferocious. He flew into a rage and looked like an enraged gorilla. His clenched fist was like a giant hammer, smashing toward Fang Yan's head with a whistling sound. If it was an ordinary person, his head would definitely be sent flying after receiving such a blow from him. Even if it was an extraordinary person, he would probably become a vegetable after being punched by him. Fang Yen had heard before that underground fighters were very vicious. They would do anything during a fight, and when they attacked, they were all about killing with one blow. Using martial arts to show off. It was referring to these boorish men who fought underground. Fang Yen was furious. If he was a gigolo who was scolded by others, he would probably be beaten to death by this gorilla. So he also clenched his fist and punched toward the gorilla's fist. Fang Yan's punch was ordinary, without any sharp energy or whistling fist wind. It looked like an ordinary punch from an ordinary person. The gorilla's face showed a sarcastic smile and said, Gigolo, you're courting death. Pa. Their fists collided. The gorilla didn't feel anything strange at first. He was looking forward to the moment when he sent Fang Yen flying with a punch and received thunderous applause from the audience. Wasn't this the only outcome? The gorilla was very confident in his fist strength. He had once tried to kill a strong bull with one punch. The bull was knocked to the ground by him. It wailed twice and died. However, he soon noticed that something was wrong. Fang Yen wasn't sent flying. He was still standing in the same place and sneered at him. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Before he had time to think of such a thing, a majestic force suddenly attacked his fist. It was like a 1,000-pound boulder pressing on an egg, like a storm hitting a river bank. It was a force that he couldn't resist. It was like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Crack, crack, crack. The gorilla's knuckles and arms crackled like beans popping, and then there was a sharp pain in his mind. Ah, He screamed and fell to the ground on the spot and fainted. Not only that, but his body, which was lying on the ground, was still twitching non-stop. Once, twice, thrice, it could be seen what kind of blow he had just suffered. This scene was too sudden and too nature-defying. Everyone was waiting, or rather looking forward to the scene of Fang Yan being sent flying by the gorilla, kneeling on the ground and crying, and the gorilla carrying the little beauty away, laughing maniacally. How did such a shocking scene happen? Did the scriptwriter write the wrong script? That pretty boy, he actually knocked the gorilla out with one punch? The gorilla must have been paid to cooperate with the act. It was shameful to fake it. Xianxia lifted her head from Fang Yan's shoulder and opened her eyes. She looked at the gorilla on the ground in a daze, then looked at the side of Fang Yan's face and broke into a smile. It was a very sweet expression. Whoosh! A group of men dressed in black rushed over. An elderly man squatted down and checked the gorilla's breathing. He was slightly relieved and said, "He's still breathing." When he reached out to pull the gorilla up, he stared at Fang Yan in disbelief as if he was struck by lightning. A middle-aged man next to him asked, "Old Gu, what happened?" "Dachi, his right hand is crippled, all the bones are broken," Old Gu said in a hoarse voice. Wow, there was an uproar. How could this guy be so powerful? Did he break Dachi's bones with that move just now? Was this not an act? What? The middle-aged man was shocked. "Take him down." Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the men in black immediately surrounded Fang Yan. Gray stood up and stared at Fang Yan angrily. "How could you cripple someone's arm just now? How could you be so vicious?" Fang Yan looked at Gray expressionlessly and said, "Did you see him injuring me with his punch just now?" "Did he injure you?" Gray asked. "What if he did? Your skills are way better than his, how could you be injured by him?" The old man was even angrier. Fang Yan sneered and said, "When he punched me, did you know that my skills were way better than his? What if I don't know any kung fu at all? You're saying if, yes, I'm saying if I didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken, wouldn't I have been killed by that punch just now? Why didn't you say anything to stop him? Why didn't you say that he was vicious? You're twisting words and forcing logic." The middle-aged man shouted, "Now the facts are right in front of us. You crippled Dachi's arm for no reason. You must give Dachi an explanation, give our club an explanation." Qin Dachi was an underground boxing expert trained by the True Martial Club. He was also one of the True Martial Club's most important money trees. Now that Fang Yan had crippled Qin Dachi's arm, it was a huge blow and loss to the True Martial Club. "That's right, you must give our club an explanation. If you don't give us an explanation, don't even think about leaving today. Brothers F***ck this guy, let's spar with this little bastard." The True Martial Club's experts surrounding Fang Yan all shouted, ready to use their advantage in numbers to take down Fang Yan. How strong can a man who's holding a woman be? Although Qin Dachi was defeated by this kid, that was because that idiot underestimated him. They wouldn't make such a mistake again. Once they started fighting, they would be ruthless. They wouldn't give Fang Yan any chance to fight back. Fang Yan smiled at the middle-aged man and asked, "You want an explanation?" Chapter 546. That's right, you have to give us an explanation. There's no difference between breaking someone's arm and chopping off their head. You have ruined Dachi's life. If we let you go like this, the martial arts club will not be able to establish itself in the underworld." The middle-aged man said fiercely. Life was like a box of chocolates, no one knew which one would grow worms. In one's life, one would meet all sorts of strange people. Some people would share the same attribute as you and become your friend, but most people would become strangers who brushed shoulders with you. Some people would make you laugh and cry, while some people would make you want to beat them up and scream. This was too much of a bully. Jiang Xianxia was the instigator of this incident. If the gorilla really felt insulted, it would be natural for him to jump down and beat Jiang Xianxia up. Of course, from Fang Yan's point of view, he had the responsibility to protect Jiang Xianxia. At the very least, he couldn't let Jiang Xianxia get seriously injured. This was also the reason why Fang Yan was indifferent and refused to go on stage, even though the gorilla had repeatedly provoked him and even called him a gigolo. Fang Yan knew that he was in the wrong, and since he was in the wrong, he had to accept the other party's retaliation. Why was it that you could throw bottles at others, but others couldn't call you a gigolo and tear you apart? Fang Yan was really angry with the gorilla because he really wanted to tear him apart. When we watch movies, we often hear a familiar line: fists and kicks have no eyes. If it's a minor injury, it can lead to a fatal one. Since everyone in the underworld knows that fists and kicks have no eyes, they should be even more cautious. However, the gorilla didn't know what was going on and threw a punch at his head. Based on the strength that Fang Yan felt, that punch was enough to smash his head into pieces. It was like using a hammer to hit a hard-boiled egg. If Fang Yan was just an ordinary person, bullying others by force, injuring others with force, this was a huge taboo in the underworld. Using a killer move at the slightest disagreement. This was indeed the style of underground boxing players, but it wasn't something that Fang Yan could accept. He knew that in the underground boxing ring, people were beaten to death or crippled from time to time. However, he was just a bystander, an ordinary spectator in an underground bar. It was not appropriate for Qin Dachui to deal with him with the methods and moves that he used to deal with underground boxers. Therefore, Fang Yan struck out in anger and directly crippled one of the gorilla's arms. That man was too violent and lethal. He had to give him some punishment. Otherwise, his thoughts would be clouded again. When Qin Dachui repeatedly provoked and insulted Fang Yan, his fellow disciples did not say anything. When he punched out to end Fang Yan's life, his fellow disciples didn't say anything. Now that Fang Yan had defeated someone and destroyed Qin Dachui's arm, they jumped out to say that Fang Yan was vicious and wanted Fang Yan to give them an explanation. Did the experts of the inner river deserve to be bullied by outsiders? This is bullying, Fang Yan said with a smile. If I was killed by him, could you give me an explanation? Give my family an explanation? Would the true martial arts guild hall have a way to stand in the underworld then? You're talking about something that didn't happen at all. You're just making things up. What if Dachui's punch suddenly changed direction? What if it suddenly retracted when it hit your head? I said you wanted to kill me and you didn't kill me. Would the judge sentence you for murder? The middle-aged man said. He pointed at Qin Dachui, who was lying on the ground with a face full of regret. He said, a good seedling was destroyed by you just like that. Even if he's fine, he can't fight anymore. Kid, if you don't give me an explanation, I can't let you. That's right. That pretty boy is too much of a bully. You can't just let him leave after beating him up. We're the only ones bullying others. When has the True Martial Arts Guild Hall ever been bullied like this? The members of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall and some other spectators also spoke up, fiercely condemning Fang Yan, who was holding a beauty in his arms. Smack. Fang Yan slapped the middle-aged man's face and asked with a smile, is this the explanation you want? Stunned. Everyone was stunned. That pretty boy, he dared to hit someone? Did he know who he hit? He had just crippled the arm of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall's trump card, Qin Dachui, and now he hit the head of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Was he crazy? Wang Dongshu also thought that Fang Yan was crazy. If he wasn't crazy, how could he dare to slap his face when he was surrounded by the brothers of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall? However, he also felt that something was wrong. What exactly was wrong with him? Because he was thinking about this important question, he didn't make a crazy and powerful response to Fang Yan's slap in time. Oh yes, he remembered now. He was also a martial artist, one of the top masters in the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Other than the old priest Gulei, he was the face of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Logically speaking, when one was attacked by others, one's body would react naturally. One would either dodge or counterattack. This was the basic quality that a martial artist should have. However, why didn't he react when that pretty boy hit him? He didn't dodge, he took the slap head-on. Before Wang Dongshu could figure out the answer to this question, the men behind him couldn't help but want to take action. Brothers, let's destroy this pretty boy, break both his legs. Curator, hurry up and say something. Fang Yan hugged Xianxia tightly with one hand and let her head rest on his shoulder. That way he could avoid getting hurt by accident or using her as a weapon if they were to really fight. You want to hit someone because you can't win? Fang Yan said with a wronged expression. Taking turns to fight? Is this the style of the True Martial Arts Club? You can only win because you have more people? If you are so capable, why don't you fight me one by one? Let's fight one-on-one then. Just as the idiot spoke, he was sent flying by Gulei's slap. If you want to die, don't drag everyone down with you. How could someone who could cripple Daoist's arm be easy to deal with? Gulei looked at Fang Yan cautiously and asked, Sir, what's your name? Do you guys want to know what's going on before you hit someone? Fang Yan didn't want to say his name. He was Fang Yan, the security guard of Rosefinch Secondary. After the previous lesson, he didn't want to bring any negative impact to the reputation of Rosefinch Secondary. From the moment you attacked, I knew that you are a martial artist. Every tree has its roots and everyone has their own sect. You have to know your surname, name and sect. There are too many people who come out to make a living in the underworld, and it's inevitable that there will be incidents like this, Gulei said calmly. He was very interested in Fang Yan's background. He's just a nobody, don't take it to heart. Fang Yan said, I'll fight you one-on-one, but I'll call the police if it's a group fight. His name is Fang Yan, he's a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary. Someone shouted from the crowd. Fang Yan didn't expect his fame to be so high. He was recognized even when he went to the underground boxing market to watch a boxing match. Of course, Fang Yan also knew that because of his return after 3 years, and because of Du Qing's attachment and the series of battles of wits and courage with Jiang Junling using Huaqing as a chessboard, he had now risen to become one of the most influential and powerful people in Huaqing. As a famous person, he had to have the awareness of a famous person. It was normal for some of his admirers to know his name and appearance. Fang Yan, Gulei chewed on the name and asked, Just now I saw you use an internal boxing technique that borrows force to fight back. Is it Fang Tai Chi? Fang Yan looked at Gulei in surprise and said with a smile, Old man, you're knowledgeable. My master is Fang Hui. So that's how it is. Gulei sighed. Fang Tai Chi is an internal martial art. Daoist is a fool who only knows how to polish his skin, muscles and bones. How can he be your opponent? Fang Yan smiled and said, Let's call it a day, shall we? Gulei shook his head and said, Even if this group of kids ganged up on you, I'm afraid they won't be able to keep you, old Gu. Wang Dongxu was shocked. He knew that Fang Yan was powerful, but he didn't believe that Fang Yan was this powerful. There were more than a dozen people in the Zhenwu Guild Hall. Other than him and Gulei, there were 4 or 5 good fighters. Although the other kids' fists were not strong enough, they could still use some strength. Why was it that in Gulei's words his own people were so weak? Gulei looked at Wang Dongxu and said, Curator, if you believe me, let me handle this. If you don't believe me, I'll leave now. Of course I believe you, old Gu. Wang Dongxu saw that Gulei was angry and quickly said. Gray nodded and turned his gaze back to Fang Yan. He said, I've met Big Brother Tiger's Might once before. At that time, I was only a junior and didn't even have the chance to fight with Big Brother Tiger's Might. Today, I'm able to meet Big Brother Tiger's Might's descendant. Gulei was a little embarrassed and said, Don't say that I'm bullying the young. Today I'll be thick-skinned and ask you to fight with me. If I win, you have to give Daoist an explanation. If I lose, I'll forget about what happened today. Daoist's medical expenses and his future compensation will be borne by me. What do you think of that? Why would I say that you're bullying the young? You can't bully me anyway, Fang Yan said with a serious face. Even if I leave now, you can't stop me. Why do I have to fight with you? Gulei's face turned green and white. His mouth was wide open and he didn't know how to continue. This kid, bullying an old man. Did dogs eat his conscience? Chapter 547. Fang Yan's reaction not only made Gray speechless, but even the bystanders felt that this kid had gone too far. An honest old man took the initiative to stand up and politely said, Let's have a fight. If I win, you'll have to give us an explanation. If I lose, you'll just walk away. Isn't this a normal thing to do? How could you reject others? That's reasonable and emotional, but how could you reject others? This kid is too hateful. Someone go up and beat him up. I'll pay 1 million for one of this kid's arms. Damn it, I've never seen a bastard more arrogant than him. People who don't respect the elderly are uncultured. This kind of man is disgusting. I won't even look at him. Gray was the True Martial Guild Hall's consecrator, and also a teacher of the True Martial Guild Hall. Seeing their teacher being bullied like this, his disciples and grand-disciples couldn't hold back any longer. Teacher, I don't care who this kid is. Let me chop him up and feed him to the dogs. A bald man beat his chest and said fiercely. His teacher was being humiliated. He felt like he was going crazy. Brothers, let's not talk about Jianghu morality with people who don't care about Jianghu morality. Isn't he powerful? Isn't he good at fighting? Come everyone, let's go together. I'll take the lead. A thin and tall man with a long braid roared. Old good, don't give this kid any face. He's climbing up the pole and then stepping on our faces. Wang Dongshu, the head of the martial arts guild, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Although Fang Yan was attacking Gray was their guild's signature. He wouldn't easily fight with others. How could the martial arts guild raise their heads in front of their friends in the outside world when he was being looked down upon like this? Gray opened his mouth to speak but found that he didn't know where to start. He could only let out a long sigh. So what if it's Fang family Tai Chi? So the Fang family's Taiji people could bully others outside? I'm not a member of the True Martial Arts Guild. Before this, the members of the True Martial Arts Guild were the opponents of our Justice Guild. However, I can't let this matter go. Brat, you have to give the True Martial Arts Guild an explanation. Otherwise, don't even think of leaving this place today. If the True Martial Arts Guild doesn't agree to it, my brothers won't agree to it either. Fang Yan had incurred the wrath of the masses this time. Even the fighters from other guilds stood up to help him. Because of Fang Yan's uneducated words, almost the whole world stood against him. Jiang Shangxin finally got up from Fang Yan's embrace. Looking at the surroundings, she then looked at Fang Yan and said, "This started because of me, why don't we—" "Shut up," Fang Yan said. Jiang Shangxin could only shut up obediently. Fang Yan ignored the murderous gazes staring at him, nor did he care about the increasingly high temperature and tense atmosphere in the underground boxing field. He stared at Gray and asked, "Why didn't you stop it before?" "What did you say?" Gray asked. "Why didn't you stop Qin Daqi when he jumped down from the stage and chased after us? Why didn't you stop him when he was about to punch my head?" "You." Gray's face was ashen. Fang Yan raised his voice and said, "As an elder and a senior in martial arts, shouldn't you stand up and reprimand your disciples at the first instance when they make a mistake or are about to hurt someone? I've come into contact with many elders. I have a grandfather too. I know very well that if I were in Qin Daqi's position, my grandfather would stand up and reprimand me when I insulted someone as a gigolo. He would force me to take the initiative to apologize to the person who was insulted. If I tried to kill someone without restraint, my grandfather would jump out and break one of my arms or one of my legs before my opponent could retaliate. A country cannot prosper without virtue, and a man cannot stand without virtue. Those who learn martial arts should pay special attention to martial art morality. If Elder Gu had stood up and told Qin Daqi that he was wrong, if Elder Gu had punished Qin Daqi before he punched me, then things wouldn't have developed to this stage, and you would still be a senior that I respect and adore. But you didn't do that. Some things have nothing to do with age, but are closely related to a person's moral character. It's naturally difficult for a man without virtue to stand up. I don't want him to stand up in front of me." Fang Yan's gaze was like a searchlight as it swept across the people who were staring at him. He said, "Ask yourselves, is it really because of what I said that you attacked me as a group? Is it really because I didn't respect the old man in front of me that I didn't want to respect? You have only found a way out, a pretext, a reason to propel yourselves to the moral high ground to lash and punish me. Just because I refused an old man's challenge, you think I'm insulting him. Insulting an old man is a big crime, so I deserve to die? Whether it's a group fight or a one-on-one fight, you all think it's natural and righteous. I heard someone shout just now, we don't need to talk about Jianghu morality with people who don't care about Jianghu morality. Isn't he powerful? Isn't he good at fighting? Come on everyone, let's go together. Don't you feel good about this? When you beat me to the ground, you can still proudly spit on my face and scold me for being a despicable and shameless villain. You can even bully an old man. I wonder how bad your character is. At that time, don't you want to give yourself some applause? There's no more perfect counterattack than this. You can teach me a lesson and you can win the applause and favor of the beautiful women around you. If you're lucky, someone might even offer to sleep with you. But when all of you were cheering and celebrating, what exactly did I do wrong? In order to protect a drunk woman, I wanted to take her away, and then I was scolded repeatedly and might even be punched to death. Minus the complicated process in the middle, This is the original truth of the matter. Is this the reason why I should be despised and beaten up by all of you? The onlookers looked at each other and realized that what Fang Yan said made so much sense that they actually had no words to refute him. Jiang Shangxin stared at Fang Yan with a burning gaze and hugged Fang Yan's neck even more tightly. Her sexy red lips whispered into Fang Yan's ears, "Fang Yan, I think I'm falling in love with you." When she spoke, her voice carried the malt fragrance of beer. Just listening to it was enough to make one drunk. Fang Yan shifted his gaze to Gray's face again and said, "There's another important reason why I refuse to accept your challenge. I'm not in the wrong. You didn't stand out to punish Chindachi, so I did it on your behalf. I didn't do anything wrong. I won't bear any losses for something that I didn't do wrong. Also, when you challenged me, you said that if I lost, I had to give Chindachi an explanation. Even if I lost, why would I have to give him an explanation? Because he wanted to kill me, so it was wrong for me to destroy one of his arms. As for what you said about me being able to leave after I won, you were being generous at the expense of others." Fang Yan pointed at the group of boxers at the True Martial Arts Guild Hall, who were shouting that they wanted to tear him into pieces, and said, "If I wanted to leave with just you and these useless things, can you stop me?" This was no longer an insult, it was pointing at someone's nose and scolding them. "Whether I leave or stay depends entirely on my own attitude. If I want to leave, I'll leave. If I want to stay, I'll stay. Who can do anything about it?" Jiang Shangxin's beautiful eyes widened and her little mouth opened wide. Her body trembled as if she had received a slight electric shock, giving her an uncontrollable sense of joy. She wanted to scream and scream, she wanted to tell the whole world something loudly, or perhaps she wanted to lie quietly in his arms and look at him with the most adoration and infatuation in her eyes. In the past, when she had just started dating Jiang Zhulu, she felt that he was gentle, meticulous, scheming, and was a very charming man. However, she had never experienced this kind of feeling from Jiang Zhulu, this kind of majestic and heroic feeling that he was the only one in the world, even if there were millions of people around him. This was really a man who made one love him from the inside out, to the depths of one's soul. "Fang Yan," Jiang Shangxin panted and whispered into Fang Yan's ear again, "Not already, not about to, I feel that I have already fallen in love with you." Her breath smelled like orchids and her lips almost bit Fang Yan's earlobe. She did have such a thought, but she was forcefully suppressing her current behavior. Faced with such a charming man, she really wanted to serve him to the heavens and do anything for him willingly. Fang Yan felt that his ear was a little itchy. In such a serious occasion, at such an intense and exciting moment, this little woman was still lying in his arms and flirting with him. Was she crazy? He tilted his head slightly to one side so that he could stay further away from Jiang Shangxin's lips. This unromantic action made Jiang Shangxin angry. Her eyes widened and she gritted her teeth, wishing that she could bite off one of Fang Yan's ears. Fang Yan looked at Gray and the crowd that still surrounded him and said, "I am a good person, so I naturally have to be reasonable in my words and actions. I am sorry, everyone, after my analysis just now. You should be clear that reason is still on my side. So what do you plan to do next?" "Tear him apart," a disciple of the True Martial Arts Guild shouted. Fang Yan nodded and said, "You see, actually most people are unreasonable. In the future, don't use the elderly as an excuse to attack others." "Who did the elderly offend?" As Fang Yan spoke, he had already kicked the disciple of the True Martial Arts Guild who had pounced on him and shouted, "Tear him apart." More people pounced on Fang Yan. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.